Well, Larry is coming. He's going to be here in like 5 minutes, I think. But we didn't want to make people wait any longer. I know we keep pushing it back a little bit. But here, I honestly don't know what Larry's take is going to be. I was with him yesterday. I think he's probably marinating on it. I think that's what makes it a little interesting to go the day after. But yeah, I mean, Dan, I'll let you fire off, and then let's clean up the chat until Larry gets here.
Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Often late, seldom in doubt. Yes, here we are. 12:40. We scheduled originally for 11:30. So we had to push it back. We had a couple things come up, and but we're here now, and we were a lot of people were asking what happened last night. Where were we? And Larry and Rye just it's tough when you got a full day and you start your day off early in the morning, and then you head to the game, and then you got to do a show.
It's like we got to do the pregame for Talk Sport, then we have to go early, and Larry does his 95.7 pregame, then we have to stay late so I can get in the locker room and ask questions and turn those around, and it's just exhausting. Plus, honestly, we didn't have much pep in our step after yesterday. But I'll say just real quick, my minute synopsis. I'm going to zag a little bit just because I think it's too boring to. I tweeted out, let me say it loud for the people in the back. If I can predict exactly what you were going to say about the 49ers as soon as the game ends, then why should I bother listening to you or reading your columns? Dare to be more interesting. So this is my thoughts on the game. I felt like the Niners, neither the Niners nor the Chiefs could get control of the game in the first half. For the most part, obviously the field goals were kind of brutal because you need to score points versus this Chiefs team. But what it comes down to, I'm going to make an analogy to the Warriors-Celtics finals. The Celtics had the best defense in the league. They thought their defense was good enough to line up and play exactly the way they normally play defense. They thought they could play Steph Curry. They thought they didn't have to double team Steph Curry. They thought they could just play their base defense and that it would be good enough. Guess what? Steph Curry came out and he didn't miss in the entire first quarter and torched them that whole first game. It's kind of continued for the rest of the finals, although they made some adjustments. The problem with the 49ers this game, and it was really painful because it brings it back to the Super Bowl, the Niners were allowed before the game was basically over, they allowed 6 of 7 third down conversions. The last 3 were the absolute daggers. There was the one where it was like they were on the 40-yard line. It was 3rd and 20. They were out of field goal range. They allow a 25-yarder to McKinnon that goes in for a score. That puts them up 2 touchdowns. Now it's like, oh my God, if the Niners don't rally back here, the game's over. They actually had a very impressive drive despite a bunch of penalties, got all the way down there, scored a touchdown, nice pass, nice catch by Kittle. All of a sudden, they're down 7. They need to stop. The defense hasn't had a sack, tackle for loss all game. They need to make a play. Bosa finally gets the first sack of the game, 3rd and 11. They're about to get the ball back. It's like, 3rd and 11 on their own 19. And guess what? It's like a 50-yard pass. Completely blows the game open. Then they go in and score. Then all of a sudden it's they're up 12. And then all of a sudden Jimmy, gets the safety. Trent Williams beats him off the thing. Jimmy has no awareness, cover 0 blitz. And then all of a sudden it's like their last chance. They have one last chance. The Chiefs are at midfield. It's 3rd and 20. Boom, 56-yard touchdown. So that's what the game came down to. And the problem is the 49ers thought that their defense was good enough to just line up, play their normal zone coverage, and they made no adjustments. Everybody else, the script on the Chiefs is out. You play man coverage. They're even though the Niners cornerbacks are a little banged up, the wide receivers of the Chiefs have not been able to get separation all year. And what Mahomes loves is zone coverage and finding little soft zones.
Absolutely.
And just tearing it up. You saw it last year where all of a sudden everyone was playing too high and all of a sudden, their offense was slowing down. Then all of a sudden they went to the Raiders and Gus Bradley ran the Seattle defense where they just said, screw it, we're running our stuff. And then all of a sudden the Chiefs offense exploded. I think DeMeco Ryans has to learn from this. He has to mix up coverages more versus a team like this. They proved, their offense is better than our defense if they're both playing base. They have to mix it up. They have to be more creative.
The game was, they got out coached basically, especially on the defensive side of the ball. 49ers put up 23 points, probably could have put up more without some of the the penalties and the mistakes. But my goodness, I'm reading some of the chat. Let me just get to some of this chat. And guys, some guys we need to calm down. Boomer, I can understand you saying maybe they need another center and a right tackle, but left tackle, Trent Williams is by far rated as the best left tackle in the game.
Yeah, even if and you know what, Jordan Elliott, super sharp guy, he was on this early. Trent is starting to look a little bit different, but he's still, Trent at 80% is still probably a top
back off of a high ankle sprain. He's not 100%. A lot of you guys, it's like after each game, you panic. Let me tell you, if you've been around sports long enough, you played sports. Sports is about adjustments and peaking, and sometimes you're playing and getting in shape for the future. Niners right now are banged up. Even Mooney Ward, when he got beat on the long pass, Mooney Ward had a growing injury. If you've ever had a growing injury, it isn't 100% in a week, okay? He's not able to make sharp cuts. Niners don't have much.
I'm sorry. I got to. Okay. So this guy, like everyone that's like, oh my God, so Kyle, this is your genius. 6 super years and no Super Bowl. It's like, okay, now everyone is, excuse my language, but everyone's blowing Andy Reid. I'm seeing people like calling him a prophet. Oh, if Kyle's a genius, he's a prophet. Guess what? Andy Reid, in the first 19 years of his career, went to 1 Super Bowl. He lost. I still thought he was a great coach. Just because he didn't win a Super Bowl didn't make him. Everything that's being said about Kyle now was being said about Andy Reid. Then he gets Pat Mahomes, who's the Steph Curry of the NFL.
Yep.
And guess what? They've won 1 Super Bowl in what, 4 years? They blew a game last year. Like if we had if the 49er fan base was the same expectations, and if we were all Chiefs fans, everyone would want Andy Reid gone after last year. So like, what do we talk? Like, it's like we have to be patient. No, it's. I know it's unfortunate. Everyone wants things to happen now, and it's you got to have the perspective. It's unfortunate, but we got to move forward. McCaffrey did not when McCaffrey was in there and they're running stuff. It was pretty damn scary. He's going to help. Where the 49ers offense needs the most help is on those critical third downs and in the red zone. That's exactly what McCaffrey's here for. And although Kyle said that they were going to install him in some red zone packages, pretty much you just saw him running between the middle 8. He was not in those end zone packages. Those little, obviously Jeff Wilson, he's great for what he is. He's not the same guy. He doesn't have the same feel. He doesn't have the same ability to like find, little pockets in the defense. So overall, I mean, it's just, the Niners are lucky that the NFC is as down as it's ever been. Yes, you can say the Chiefs look like a way better team. Bills look like a way better team. But guess what? It's one of those things where like the Patriots that year when they almost lost to the Jaguars in the AFC Championship, no one knows. You just have to make it to the Super Bowl. The AFC might cannibalize itself. So I don't think that I don't think it's time to just, throw in the towel as we welcome in the great Larry Kruger.
What's up, fellas?
Hey. So, we're hitting some of the comments. Trent is clearly on the decline. Boomer comes back with it. Boomer thinks that the 49ers need to replace the left tackle, who's clearly the best left tackle in football, but he's coming off of a high ankle sprain. If you guys ever played, it takes a while to get your timing back. He just got back less than a week ago on the field, and he's coming in against Frank Clark, a tough defensive end. And come on, guys, he'll get his timing down. You guys have to realize that the Niners are not at their full strength right now, and they got beat up by a much better team yesterday at this point in the season. Had the Niners and Chiefs played 3-4 weeks ago, would have been a different game. It might have been still a Chiefs win, but it would have been a closer game. Defense is banged up. Offense, I'm telling you guys that sports is all about getting hot lady. Look at the Philadelphia Phillies. My goodness. They're in the World Series because they're peaking at the right time. Last year, the Niners were 3-5. They're 3-4 right now. Last year, they were 3-5, had no shot at the division. They're 3-4. They win this week. They control the division again. So
I don't think, it's funny, Danny. I don't think it's as much about, their record or their predicament, like as far as the playoffs, because you're right, Dan, you're totally right. They're not as bad off as they were a year ago, and the division's way worse, right?
The
And the
whole
conference is way worse.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not really about like, can they make it to the playoffs, or what's this season going to result in? They're still somewhat early. They still have some time. The problem is that they look terrible.
Yeah.
And they really, I was doing the pregame yesterday with Lo Neal on 95.7, and I'm going through all my notes and all the things, and I'm breaking this thing down with Lo, and it hit me when I was going through like some of the let me throw you a couple of these and tell me what you think. The 49ers opponents, this is going into yesterday's game, guys. 49ers opponents this season, going into their game yesterday with Kansas City, had a record of 9-17 combined, and none of those teams that they had played rolled into yesterday over 500. So they had not played a lot of good teams.
Oh, yeah. You
know what I'm saying? I mean, really, they had an easy start to their schedule, and they kind of stumbled through it. Then the
the one great team they played, though, they did blow out the Seattle Seahawks.
Right. I mean, I don't know if they're great, but yeah.
I'm joking.
Okay, here's a betting trend, too, from going into yesterday. Patrick Mahomes was 13-2-1 against the spread all time as anything less than a 3.5-point favorite. So when they're either favored to lose, or they're underdogs, or when they're like a 1-point favorite, a 2-point favorite, and they fire, they show up. What I think we saw yesterday is a Chiefs team off a loss that showed up.
Also, not just off a loss. The game before that, they kind of had an embarrassing showing versus the Raiders and should have lost.
Yeah,
on Monday night.
Then when I went through the film, and that's the reason why this live stream has been pushed back 3 times, because I sat there and went through this film with a fine-tooth comb for hours. I mean, I seriously, people were getting up and going to work, and I was still rolling that thing back and forth with no sleep, and I didn't sleep great the night before. So, but I mean, when I was going through it, what jumped out to me, Juan Thornhill, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones. Kansas City's defense whipped the Niner offensive line. They had 5 sacks. They had 8 hits on the quarterback. It resulted in 2 picks.
Yeah.
Frank Clark hadn't been doing a whole lot this year. He kicked Trent Williams' ass. Chris Jones dominated the way Chris Jones always dominates the 49ers. He had 2 sacks. He was a force against on almost every down. L'Jarius Sneed is a terrific DB. He had 6 tackles. He had a half sack. He defended a pass. He hit the quarterback. I mean, he looked great. And then they got Willie Gay back. So Willie Gay is a sub 4.5 linebacker who was suspended 4 games. So he's flying around. I mean, it's like week 1 or week 2 for him. He's out there flying around, and the difference was startling. He had 8 tackles. He had half a sack. Nick Bolton was everywhere. He had 9 tackles, lived in the backfield. 7 of those were solo. And Juan Thornhill had 11 tackles, 9 solo tackles. To me, what I saw was a really talented Chiefs team that is trying to round into form, just got their kind of comeuppance a week ago against Buffalo. So what was their reaction after that game? Hey guys, they're better than us. We need to be, if we're going to be better, we need to dig deeper. We need to get better. So you got a talented team on both sides of the football, laser focused, intent like hell to get better, and intent like hell to get a win. And they showed up for real. Now, that's the defense. So, like, people will say, well, what's wrong with the Niners offense? And what's wrong with them? Okay, so that's the defense. Their defense beat the Niners offense. Their D-line beat the Niners O-line. Garoppolo was not great. He wasn't awful, but he wasn't great. The pick on the goal line was fucking inexcusable. You cannot float a pass like that into a crowd and just, let's cross our fingers. And whoever the receiver was on that play, the effort was crap.
Trash.
It was crap. It was an awful effort. The DB's behind you. You're between the ball and the DB. He went up. He showed desire. He came down for it. You either got to go up for it and come down with it, or you got to fight him like hell to make sure he doesn't. And neither of those things happened. So the effort was lousy from that receiver on that play. Garoppolo's throw there was horrendous. But overall, the 49ers scored 23 points against a defense that has a lot of talent. That's good on all three levels.
They controlled time of possession. They punted one time. When Jimmy was in, they punted one time the whole game, and that punt was just due to a field goal that,
that was because more jumped off sides.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the problem with the offense? Let's talk about that first, because that's probably the more pleasant discussion.
Yeah, I think
what's the problem with the offense, guys? I would say the problem is McGlinchey looked terrible. McGlinchey, I don't know. McGlinchey is so beat up at this point that his movement ability is not what it was. Yeah. So he struggled. The right guard struggled. They replaced with run skill at times in the second half. Love Brendel as a guy, but as a football player, he's just a guy. And so they're not very good on the right side of the line. And then Trent is rusty and has regressed. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Trent Williams has regressed.
Jordan Elliott was the first one I heard that was kind of on that.
Well, you got to give him give Trent a little bit of a break, because he's going up against a pretty damn good defensive end, and he's shaking off some rust. But Trent looks like he's regressed a little bit. They're having some problems on the line. I'm not really sure if they know what kind of team they want to be.
Yeah,
I don't know if they have an offensive identity right now. But Jimmy, the combination of the O-line's getting beat, the penalties are killing this team offensively. Jimmy Garoppolo and this offense is not built to operate from behind the chains. So you cannot make these mistakes. They're making them week after week after week after week. They cannot keep digging themselves out of situations where they're, second and 12, third and 22. I mean, they don't have Mahomes. So they don't have a quarterback to dig them out of that. So they got to stop making mistakes. They got to decide on an offensive line grouping. Chris Forster, when he talked last week, he's like, well, this guy's ready to go. That guy's ready to go. Everybody's ready to go. Who's the starter at right guard? What's the pecking order? Well, everybody's up and they're ready to go. I need a little bit more definition to my line than everybody's up and they're ready to go. I want to see some starters. I'd like to see some of the young guys in there. I'd like to see Poe in there, and I'd like to see them commit a little bit more to run the ball and keep running it, and then play action pass, big plays out of that, a little bit more down the field. They're running it, but it's like they're running the wrong guys in the wrong holes. They're running McCaffrey up the middle. They're trying to run Jeff Wilson outside. It's like, come on, guys. Wilson up the middle, McCaffrey outside. And then they don't know how they want to use Debo. Yeah. Debo was a total non-factor yesterday. That can't happen. You can't have your best player be a total non-factor. So there's issues on the offense. I think it has a lot to do with the mistakes they make up front. Jimmy has some limitations. Kyle's out of sync. He's running the wrong guys in the wrong holes at the wrong times. They're just a little out of sync offensively. Do they miss McDaniel? I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody smarter than me. I don't know if they miss McDaniel. They might.
Hey, Larry, did you see Baldy's breakdown? I thought this was interesting because I was with you as far as like the McCaffrey, like, okay, like, he's an outside run, like don't purposely run him inside, like with the upside of gaining 2 yards. Baldy did do a great breakdown where it was like beginning of the game, and he was showing, he's like, this is where you're going to see, McCaffrey. He's just got to follow Juice. He's got to just follow Juice. Look at him follow Juice. Oh, easy 10 yards. And then it kept going towards the end of the game in his last couple plays, and it was like, but then you see here on this play, got a little issue. Juice is going to the outside. Look at all that open space. McCaffrey cuts it inside. So McCaffrey, he doesn't quite have the rhythm, which is to be expected. So he was kind of cutting some of the days. Inside.
Yeah.
And
I saw that same thing. If he's talking about the same play, it was like the hole was to the outside and he took it inside. And there was a couple guys like that. I think there was a play for Ayuk where he had a nice little hole to the outside. He cut it inside.
Yeah.
So they're just a little off kilter offensively.
Larry, what do you think of this?
Then Garoppolo's accuracy is also kind of an issue. He doesn't necessarily make all the throws. I'm not that far away from wanting to see Brock Purdy, but I don't necessarily think that Jimmy himself is the issue. And I don't even think the offense itself is the issue. I think this is an offense that has some new faces, some injuries, some lack of identity, and they're not really sure what direction they're going. And they put up 23 yesterday, but now it's like, whoa, the defense in the last 2 games has given up 72 points. Now it's not like we got to learn to walk. Yeah. It's like, guys, we got to learn to sprint.
Well, you got a defense that's beat up, and it's going to take a while. I said, I don't know, what was it, after the Denver game maybe, which was game 3? I made the remarks that this offense is not going to really hit its stride until after the bye week, and I still believe that, and maybe even more so now that McCaffrey has just come on board. Got to remember, this team was built all off season for Trent. It was going to be a different scheme, and Kyle's having now to change.
Trey, you mean for Trey?
Yeah, did I say
you said Trey?
Yeah,
I was thinking Trey. Williams.
Yeah, Trey Lance. It was built for Trey Lance. They were going to be doing different things, and that was going to take a while to really get it going. Now you throw in Jimmy back in, and he's rusty as hell when he comes off the bench against Seattle, and he hadn't even, practiced with the team. So he's going to just be getting into his stride. He's now been in for 4 or 5 games, games, full game. So it's about time Jimmy, and I think we're seeing Jimmy improve. If you look what he did yesterday.
I mean, it was 68%, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and he was sacked 5 times.
Yeah, and he had a couple his only big plays that got called back for penalty. Yeah. And
I thought
the big mistake was the turnover on the goal line.
Yeah, that was his big mistake. He should have ate the ball, but he rushed it, and he was being blitzed, and he threw it up, and it was a bad decision.
That was poor awareness by him. Larry, so what do you think about this? This is my big thing on the offense, is that I think the offense actually looked pretty good, but the reason why they have McCaffrey now, and their biggest issue is on these critical third downs, like 3rd and short. Like, I don't feel like they know what to do. They don't. It doesn't seem like they're converting these big downs, and they keep moving the ball down the field, and then they're settling for field goals. And so it's like the third down offense and the red zone offense are what needs help. And I think that's where McCaffrey's going to come in and really, really help. And they didn't quite trust him today. You saw a couple times where Jimmy was kind of miscommunication with Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson was like, "What?" It's like McCaffrey's going to find those zones. They're going to have stuff schemed up. That's where I'm a little bit positive.
The offense is going to get better, but like for example, what you just pointed out there, what that points to is precision, because 3rd down and red zone, you have smaller, shorter areas to work with typically, and you got to be precise. You got to be really precise, and they're not precise right now. And then they're making a lot of mistakes on their front line. Let me ask you this: they had 10 penalties. How many of those penalties were on their offensive line?
Ugh.
Yeah, it's awful.
I don't know how many.
Wasn't it? I would say it was at least 6, maybe 7. Yeah. So that's a lot of penalties for your offensive line. So you lack some precision. Jimmy wasn't horrible, but the turnover in the red zone is something we can point to.
Major mistake. And, if we're going to jump on him just for that, that was a bad mistake. Cost him at least 3, maybe 6 or 7. But I will say this. There are people out there who are shredding Jimmy, blaming him for the sack and the safety. He was blindsided. There was no way. What was he going to do? He didn't see it coming. The other thing they're blaming him for.
That's it, though, Danny. You're rolling into the end zone. You've got to have the clock in your head. You can't stop in the end zone. You got to bank that somebody's chasing you. You can't camp out in the end zone. You got to set your feet and go, and then you got to plant your feet and throw. You can't sit there and run to a spot and then survey. That's what he was about to do. He was about to survey the field in the end zone. That's way too risky, and you've got to have a little bit better sense of it. Yes, I mean that there was a block blown, but I mean you got 11 guys on your team. You got an entire sideline.
Yeah, but I agree. In the sense, he needs to be a little bit better pocket awareness of that, and know that somebody's lurking over your shoulder, your backside, but.
What's that noise? What's that noise?
What is that?
Is that just me? Wait a minute.
It's your water.
Oh no, I don't know what it was.
Turn the water off.
I don't know what that was.
No, then I've seen also him being, the fumble. He was in throwing. He was just starting to release the ball. His wrist got hit. You can't. That's not a fumble.
Would it be too knee-jerk to go to a run-heavy game plan in Brock Purdy next week and give Jimmy a week?
Yes.
Give Jimmy a week to watch.
Brock got in there with they were playing.
Made a number of throws. He just threw an interception in the end zone trying to force it.
Yeah, but it was like there was a very soft zone they were playing at the end of the game against some backups,
I'm not. Purdy's not. Yeah, I'm not ready.
Guys like Larry's irritated. No, I'm not irritated. No, I'm just saying this. We started off talking all about the offense when really the issue is the defense, but the offense has a lot of people want to point at Shanahan. I think that's fair. A lot of people want to point at Garoppolo. I think that's fair. I think a lot of people are pointing at the offensive line. They were very conservative with their use of McCaffrey. He got 10 touches. I was thinking maybe he'd get 15 to 20 touches. He got 10. He had 62 total yards. But the more alarming thing to me was how quiet Debo was. And when you look around collectively at their weapons, and I said this after the Atlanta game, the 49ers offensively do not add to the sum of their parts.
Oh, Larry, you got to hit on this too. Distortion Productions. We haven't talked about this. You go off on this.
Special teams has been garbage, giving up 30 to 45 average starting field position. Ray is stupid, taking the ball out from the end zone.
He never got past the 15. It seemed like they were putting him in horrible positions every time. Ray has horrible awareness and ball control. I don't really understand why he's.
I'm not loving the Ray edition right now either, to be honest.
And Mr. BM Lotus or whatever it is, or Lotus or what he says.
Dan, you are lost. Jimmy G's been here for over 5 years. Wake the fuck up.
Okay.
Oh man, that's nothing. Mr. Blowouts. I mean, Dan's a hardworking guy.
Yeah. Let me say this.
Dan's
Mr.
got 2 dogs. Dan will make chicken wings after midnight. I mean, Dan is a guy who will get a cheer going. Let's go Krueg in the bleachers. I mean, let's go easy on Dan. Dan will tell Farhan that he's Farhaning. You know, I mean, come on. Let's lay off.
Let me give you a little perspective.
It's all in good fun, Dan. It's all in good fun.
Yeah, let me give.
He said LOL.
Should I go sigh on him? No.
No.
Let me just give you guys a little.
That's one of my favorite parts of the live stream is when Cy starts reading the comments that aren't up and then finds somebody who's pissy at him, and then he starts calling people out from within the chat, and then highlighting the negative.
I want to just point out one thing here. Point out something, because he's saying Jimmy's been here 5 years. So basically what he's saying is Jimmy, he put up 23 points, could have had 26 if Moore didn't jump off sides, lost the field goal.
Could have had 30 if he didn't throw the pick.
Could have been 30.
That's another one, Danny. You cannot have penalties that take points off the board.
Exactly.
They had 2 penalties that took points off the board yesterday.
So my point is, this loss is not on Jimmy. It's not on the offense. It's on the defense.
It's on the defense.
Actually on D'Amico,
Look at the Chiefs the week before. They lost, giving up. Buffalo only got 24 points. So Jimmy G actually produced, if you think about it, as many points as Josh Allen did. Josh Allen the week before was 27 of 40, 329 yards, and he did throw 3 TDs, no interceptions. Jimmy had 2 yards passing yesterday.
He completed nearly 70%.
And he threw 2 TDs. His one mistake, and I've said it was a dumb throw to throw the interception. And they're bad right now. Danny, Rice said it. They're bad in the red zone.
It's Will Gavin tweeted at me. He was like, you cannot. I was like, this isn't on the offense. Like, this is on the and he was like, you cannot tell me you're happy with this red zone offense. And I tweeted back that meme of like the mask with the smiley face, but then the crying behind it.
No, I mean their red zone offense is not good. But the issue is not if I had told you in the pregame, all right, guys, I'm going to give you a little revelation. I've got a crystal ball. I can see into the future. The 49ers today are going to score 23 points. How do you feel about that? There would have been a split around the room. Some people would say, you know what? I think they're going to lose by 3. You know what? I think they're going to lose by a touchdown.
Larry,
I think they're going to lose by a field goal. I think they're going to lose by 10. Nobody would say, I think they're going to lose by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. What percentage would you say, if I was like, percentage do you think that the opening line of Niners +3, if I told you they scored 23 points, like what percentage do you think it would be that they would cover the spread? Because I think 75 going into the game.
I mean, I really thought that Mahomes was going to score 30.
Mm.
You know, I was saying get ready for 30, and that's why I didn't like the Niners in that game. I was thinking, oh, man, Mahomes is going to get for sure is 24, and maybe I'll pick Niners 27-24. And I even said it to Low. I said, I think Niners 27-24, but that's just me being optimistic. I actually think Kansas City's going to win this game.
I wish people would actually have a little bit of rationality when you judge a game. Look at the Niners situation. No Emmanuel Mosley. Mooney Ward coming off a growing injury, probably playing at 75%. Probably shouldn't even have been out there, in my opinion. Kind of like Trent Williams in the championship game. You probably would have been better off having Justin Schooley playing left tackle last year against the Rams. Even Trent said so himself afterwards. Says, I probably...
McKivitz, you mean, but yeah, I hear you.
Or McKivitz, yeah. So point is... You're probably guys want to go. Ward wants to play against his former team, but he got smoked out there. And the long pass on third down were 56 yards to was it Schuster? JJ? Who was that to?
It was either Schuster or Scantling.
So point was he couldn't pivot and turn and keep up with him. That was because of the growing injury. Dre Greenlaw was out.
No, he was there.
He came out. He came out in the second half. He
wasn't
playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, let's get to the defense. Let's get to the defense here.
Jimmy Ward's down. You got a beat up defense, and it showed. They gave up 40-some-odd points.
They've given up. The defense is a bully defense. When they can overpower you with numbers and bodies and speed, they can swarm you. But they also look at the offenses that they dominated early on. Let's take a look. Anybody got the schedule in front of them?
I can. Okay, Chicago Bears. That's
like a WCAL offense. That's a high school offense. Okay, who they get in week 2?
Seattle Seahawks at home.
Seattle, they shows that they have a good offense since, but that offense is not considered one of the best, especially with Geno. But Geno's had a nice year, but still they kept them down. It was not an explosive offense, not a top tier offense. Week 3, Denver, horrendous offense. They're setting offensive football back decades every time they take the field. Week 4,
Rams are totally beat up. Not nearly. Allen Robinson has no rhythm with Stafford. They have no run game to speak of. Their line is shit. Week 5, Panthers
Panthers, and also, you're talking about a quarterback who's seeing ghosts, offensive line. I mean, he's getting passes batted down. Not a great offense. Falcons, not a great offense. Ball control. Their running backs are no names. They have Pitts was dinged. The number one receiver is a rookie. They have no depth. The quarterback was a free agent that anybody could have had. We're not talking top tier offenses. And now here comes Kansas City off a loss. You know what I mean? I'm kicking myself. I'm kicking myself for not dropping a C note on the goddamn Chiefs. That's what I'm kicking myself this morning. Mahomes did whatever he wanted. He completed 74%. His career completion percentage coming into this year, 66%. Guess what his completion percentage is for this year? 66%. He's been very, very consistent. He completes 66%. Not against the Niners. Against the Niners, he completed 74% for 423 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kansas City ran it at will, 5.3 a carry. Not just that, if you go and look, it wasn't one back who got hot and then everybody else was slowed down. No, every single back in their stable ran for 5.5 yards a carry. Every back. They didn't stop Pacheco. They didn't stop McKinnon. They didn't stop anybody. They didn't stop Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The average Chief back went for 5.5 yards. They went for 21 carries for 112. And that's in a pass happy deal. The Niner defense got gutted. 423 passing yards. The distance between me right now and Danny in Arizona was about the same distance between the Niner defenders and the Chief receivers. Yeah, I mean, they were not in the neighborhood. I was on the binocs from the upper deck. It was Mahomes playing pitch and catch to Juju, to Marquez Valdez. If you put heat on Marquez Valdez, guess what? He drops the ball. Well, he didn't drop the ball in this game. He had 3 catches for 111 yards. They didn't cover Kelsey. They didn't cover Valdez. They didn't cover Juju. It's really an amazing stat. If you want to fool your friends, the Chiefs scored 44 points. Who had more first downs?
I know.
The Niners had more first downs. Why is that? It's a total indictment on this defense. The Niners defense gave up such big plays, such chunk yardage plays that distorted the first down stat. But the biggest thing that happened yesterday, and I was talking to Chris Babcock, who crunches all the numbers for Papa and Tim Ryan on the broadcast. And I was talking to Chris after the ball game up in the press box, and he said, you know what this game was? And before he could even get it out of his mind, I said, explosives. And he said, exactly. And he had the stat, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was a shitload of explosive plays. And then you mix in the special teams explosives, and the KC just did explosive numbers on the Niners all fucking day long. The Niners entered this game having allowed the fewest explosive plays of 10 yards of any team in pro football. They'd given up 52 in 5 games. That was the lowest. That was the fewest number of plays of 10 yards given up by a defense all year. They had given up 52. They got dominated by explosives, and they never tightened the coverage. They never could tighten the coverage against any of these receivers.
The problem is, and I keep coming back to this, and people in the chat, they want to say I'm defending the Niners. I've just been around football a long time and been around coaches. You go with what you have. The Niners could not play man because Ward could not cover man-to-man. Mosley, Ward, and Verrett are their best cover guys. Mosley is out. Verrett's still not ready. And Ward was not able to cover man-to-man. So they went zone, and that's what Mahomes thrives on, is playing against zone coverage. So the Niners
Dan, you're missing one word. It wasn't just zone coverage. It was soft zone coverage.
Sure.
And Larry, that's the difference. Larry, I mean, you can play zone. You can mix in. Go ahead, Ryan. What were you going to say?
You missed my opening soliloquy, but my opening soliloquy was this. this game reminded me of the start of of this year's NBA Finals, where the Celtics defense was dominating, suffocating every team in the league. For the first time I can remember in a playoff game, they decided to play the Warriors straight up. They played their defense the way they played their defense. They thought it was good. They thought it would be good enough. They didn't throw extra bodies at Curry. They didn't have somebody on Curry at all times like everybody else. And guess what? Curry just kept going. He started off that game going nuts. The Niners thought that they could roll into this game and play their defense. They didn't think that they had to adjust to the Chiefs. They thought they could roll in here, play their zone defense, and that they would get to the quarterback and that would be okay. And I think D'Amico's going to learn from this, but they didn't mix anything up. Mahomes, that is where. Well,
you're right. They didn't mix it up, but here's the issue. Mahomes is the best in the league at if you give him defined reads and you show him blitzes, he carves you up. So you're right. They came out and they said, you know what? And Lo and I talked about this in the pregame. What are the Niners going to do here? Are they going to? You can't blitz this guy because the numbers show he carves up the blitz. So what do you do? And we talked to the guy from Kansas City early in the week, and he said, hey, teams that have had success against Mahomes, rush 3, drop 8, rush 4, drop 7, make him be accurate. The Niners, I hate to say it, and I know he wouldn't have said this in the postgame, but if we had time, I so badly wanted to go into the Chief locker room and just go up to Mahomes or go up to my buddy Nick Allegretti and just say, in the grand scheme of things, you know, how easy of a day was that for you guys? Because Mahomes' jersey was totally clean. Bosa got him one time. The rest of the day, he sat back there. He sat back there and just picked them apart. And you know, yes, you got to play. You've got to have tighter coverage than the soft zone coverage they had. He looked like he knew exactly where he wanted to go. He had multiple options on every play. He had nobody in his face, nobody moving him off the spot. He moved liberally, casually, and as he wanted. He did everything he wanted. The Niner defensive line had no impact on this game. 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. That was the defensive front all day. The coverage was soft, relentlessly soft. I credit Mooney Ward. He was out there against his former team, and he was trying to just go. But you know, he's got the groin, so he's diminished.
Should have never even been in there.
They missed Emmanuel Mosley. Diamador Lenore went down. Ambry Thomas has regressed significantly. And now you're seeing the failings of what happens when you have to lean on your guys and lean on your backups. Dre Greenlaw has had an incredible month, but we talked to him this week. I said, how you feeling? He's like, I'm not feeling good. And he was not trying to be dishonest. He was being honest. He wasn't screaming it. He wasn't like, hey guys, I'm over here. I'm diminished. I'm lesser than I used to be. But like, if you go up to him, how you feeling? I'm not feeling good. Why? Because he's made 30 solo tackles in the last month, and his body's beat up. Big time. They miss Greenlaw. They miss Aziz. What I would do, and Fred Warner was a disaster. Easily one of the worst games I've seen Fred play. What I would do if I were the Niners, because it's not about yesterday, it's about the Rams next week. And you got to turn the page quickly, and you got to figure it out. All right, so what do you do? My buddy Jordan Elliott is saying go sign Sue.
Yeah,
they definitely could use some fortifying up front. But here's another idea that I have, and I threw it to Rye on the drive back. The Niners have good depth at linebacker, though Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, I think, is also hurt now, and I'm not sure to what extent. But you have a healthy, fast, eager to play Marcelino McCrary ball. Activate him off the practice squad. Give Greenlaw a week or 2 off. Give Warner, if you have to, pick what guy is the most dinged and the most, needs the rest, and rest him. Otherwise, I don't see this getting any better. How do you get better? You have a week 9 bye, and you got a ton of football left, and Aziz is beat up, and Dre's beat up, and Warner's not playing as well. So you're not getting your second level. Your tackles are both gone. They went with a 4D end alignment yesterday, and they got away with it. Why? Because the Chiefs really don't run that much. It's all Mahomes. So they went with Drake and Amenighu inside, and they went with Ebukam and Bosa outside, and they gave that 4DN NASCAR package a look, and it didn't burn them for the most part because Drake Jackson was phenomenal inside.
He was the highlight of the game for me on defense.
And the same with Amenighu. Drake Jackson and Amenighu were playing with the strength of tackles. So you gotta either find some rest for the weary or use some of your depth. I think Marcelino McCrary-Ball is a starting NFL caliber player who's just young. Put him out there for a couple weeks. If Greenlaw's beat up, get him off the field. Let him heal. Give him, what's this week? This is week 8 coming up.
Yeah.
So they get the bye next week. Is that right?
Yep. That's right. Yep.
So sit him against the Rams. Activate Marcelino McCrary-Ball. Give him 2 solid weeks to get right. Then hopefully you get Azeez back after the bye, and you got Azeez and Greenlaw flying all over the place, and they're a little bit rejuvenated for the second half of the year. Stop running your dinged up players, onto the field for so many damn snaps and just praying they're going to get better. You don't get better by you don't get healthier by playing football. So figure out a way to activate Marcelino and get him out there and rest your linebackers. Other than that, mix your coverages. Mahomes carves up the blitz, but guess what? You can't sit in a soft zone all day long against the best quarterback in football and not have him drop, half 100 on you. And that's what would have happened if they had pushed him at all. He would have scored one more touchdown. They would have lost 51-23.
It's like playing one man on stage. It's like throwing no help to Steph Curry in a finals game. He's just going to keep making threes.
Here we go. Calbus's D-line got smoked second week in a row. That sets the tone for the D. Can't give Mahomes that much time to throw. Can't over pursue. Giving too many yards on kickoffs, penalties. McLeod, take the touchback. Okay, Calbo, we appreciate that. We also have this one from Nick. He says, trade deadlines November 1st. Any trades that they might make to help for the season. Okay, take an example. Yes, they've just traded a bunch of picks for Trey and a bunch of picks for McCaffrey. But see if you can move a day 3 pick for another defender. Because you're right now, like William Jackson is anybody can have William Jackson. If you want to take his contract off the hands of the Commanders, go get a William Jackson, because guess what? Ambry Thomas can't do it. Dante Johnson's a little bit long in the tooth. Womack is a damn good player. Yep. They need another corner. They probably need another tackle. Figure out you got maybe one draft pick trade to make in your arsenal if you're Lynch, right?
Well, Sue's a free agent, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So maybe you trade for a William Jackson and you add a Sue, but you need to add some new faces to your mix. Why? Because you're running out of bodies and guys are getting hurt. I would call Marcelino McCrary-Ball off the practice squad and rest one of my linebackers. I would definitely try to mix it up and add some fresher bodies to my defense. And then also, you can't sit in the same defense all day. You're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at Stafford. You're going to have to mix it up, make him indecisive, blitz him, then drop 8, then blitz him, then drop 8. Don't let him sit back there knowing what he's going to get pre-snap like you did yesterday with Mahomes. There has to be some indecision pre-snap from the quarterback when you're playing. I mean, that's the other issue, and I brought this up as well. Look at the quarterbacks who were on their schedule. Look at the quarterbacks that are on their schedule. I mean, that is a major problem for the 49ers, is that they have a lot of tough quarterbacks coming their way.
You got Stafford.
This is what they have. This is what's coming up. They had Mahomes, now they got Stafford, then they got Herbert, then they got Kyler, then Tua, then Brady. And who have they played so far? Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Geno Smith. Do you see the difference? So they're going to have to show multiple different looks to these more advanced quarterbacks. They're not going to be able to sit back and say, well, we're going to lean on our front four to get it done, and we're going to play play some, stunting games up front. You're going to have to send blitzes. You're going to have to mix it up, especially against these teams that throw the ball on first down. So it's right now, to me, the 49ers look, if I was trying to describe this to somebody, they look a combination of beat up and hurt and gassed, like a team that's badly limping towards the bye, right? Which is very concerning because now you got the Rams in their place and you already beat them once this year. So they're going to, you're not sneaking up on them, and it's going to be a very physical ice bag game. And you got a very physical game in front of you and before your bye, and your team is beat up and tired and gassed. And you look at those numbers, what the Niners do when they go on that road trip to West Virginia and they stay at the Greenbrier. They do well in those games during the trip and before the trip. But what you see, if you look closely at those numbers, is there's a residual effect in the week after the trip. And I think you're starting to see that. They look a little gassed. They look a little road weary. They look a little, unbelievably, a month ago, they looked so deep. It was like, crazy depth. Now they look relatively thin. And Mosley was playing at such a high level, and so was Ward. Now it's almost like you have neither of them because Charvarius is dinged and Mosley's gone. And there is no key to cornerback play. So you got to have corners. And that, to me, is a major, major issue. So they need a tackle. They need a little bit of health on their linebacking core, maybe a little rest on their linebacking core. They probably need one more corner. Then the other guy, then everybody in their secondary is dinged up. Hafanga's not 100%. Jimmy Ward's out there with a club. I thought yesterday the coverage was soft all the way through that secondary. There wasn't anybody whose coverage was really on the money. So Dusty Gold says, Larry, I think the defense is gassed. The offense hasn't done much thanks to Kyle's anemic offense. So I know Kyle's going to take a lot of the blame today, and that's what he gets paid the big bucks for, right? Is to take the blame. He's the head coach. It's the way it goes. So it's just par for the territory, and he's a big boy and he understands it. But I don't know that I don't know that that's necessarily. I don't know that it's necessarily all on him. But they've got to get some rhythm to their offense. They don't have any offensive rhythm. They've got to work on something in the red zone that they can go to and be precise with. They're really looking lost in the red zone. It almost feels like they have a better chance to score from the 40 than it does from the 15. And that's not right. I mean, when you watch the Niners and they have the ball and they're driving there on the 40, you've got hope. When you're watching the Niners and they get inside the 25-yard line and they're going in, you start to think, how is this going to be fucked up? How are they going to have to settle for a field goal here?
It's scary when there's so many bodies too, and it doesn't seem like anybody. I mean, I don't know if it's scheme or whatever. The weapons are good, but it doesn't seem like anybody's ever like wide open in the end zone. It's always like a Jimmy like.
Well, they got a lot of patterns where they're running into each other. It looks, I mean, even past the Kittle.
And Mario Petronic says it. They were the best team in the red zone last year, and that was a big part of that was the Debo.
Al A donate. Wait, hold on a second. Al A donates $2. We forgot about this, and he pointed it out. Thoughts on Brock Purdy's 2-minute drive? At the very end of the drive, it was on the far end of the field, and I got a little distracted. Somebody was talking to me in the press box, and that the game was gone at that point. So I'd have to go back and I got so weary watching it. That was at the very end of the game. I'd already rolled it back.
But I liked Purdy. Any quarterbacks drives when they're down 3 touchdowns in garbage time. But Purdy,
at least Purdy throws a catchable ball. He's accurate. He's not going to be mentally impacted by anything. He's very resilient. He's very smart. I would have no problem going to Purdy. I really would. I don't think that Jimmy was the issue, but I have no problem going to Purdy. I have confidence that Purdy can do it.
I have a historic Purdy fact that happened on Sunday. Brock Purdy is the first ever quarterback drafted as Mr. Irrelevant to complete a pass in the NFL. There you go.
And that Mr. Irrelevant thing is so weird because it's like people are laughing at you, and this is not the guy to laugh at. This guy had a whole career. This guy's a really good player. He's just 6'1", not 6'4". If he was 6'4", he would have been a third-round pick. Instead, he's 6'1" and change, and the NFL's so ridiculous about their, the linebackers must be 6'2", 230. Oh, wait, you're 6 feet? You're 215? You're screwed. You're day 3. But you could be awesome. This kid was really, really good at Iowa State, and he's got mobility, and he's got accuracy.
October. They had a whole nickname, Brocktober, because he was so good in October.
He's a good player. He is a good player, and I think that and Jackson J says, I agree, Larry. Anyone who makes it to the NFL is not irrelevant. Yeah, it's a stupid thing that they've created to have a little fun with it, but it's kind of it's in poor taste, to be honest, because all these guys, how many first round picks make the NFL? A lot. But guess what? After the first round, the number one percentage of players that make the NFL, or the NFL is comprised of, undrafted free agents.
Exactly.
So all this, like, he's an undrafted free agent, we don't care about him. Do you realize that outside of first round picks, the highest percentage of make it in the NFL are undrafted free agents? There's a lot of undrafted free agents that go to teams and make it and have great careers. And heck, you know what? We're talking about how much they miss Emmanuel Mosley. Guess what, fellas? Undrafted free agent. True. You know what? You know how much we really love Charvarius Ward? He's great. Undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about the two best corners on a defense that was compared to the 85 Bears like yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before yesterday. And they both were undrafted. You know what I mean? Undrafted free agents. So let's not rip on undrafted free agents. Vicky Pellich says, no excuses. Every team has injuries. I agree, Vicky. True. I like that hardcore approach, too. Hey, and they're not making excuses. We should make that clear. The Niners are not making excuses. You go in there, not one guy is going to be like, hey, man.
Yeah, and when I say
we got a bunch of injured guys in here. And
I talk about their defense, I'm not and playing zone because they can't cover man-to-man. I'm not making excuses. I'm just pointing out reality. People.
Right, but I'm just saying it isn't, everybody's hurt. Everybody's hurt.
It is what it is.
Do you guys want some positivity real quick of just, I got a couple things from a couple quick clips from Womack and TDP.
Before you do that, because anybody point out some clarification on this little doozy?
Let's do it. 69girls.xyz.
MF says, Aaron Judge's postgame comments were very interesting. MF, I didn't see Aaron Judge's post-game comments.
Oh,
what did he say?
I put out a tweet on
Paul O'Neill is going to be the new GM, and that's going to get rid of the thing.
Just check out my tweets from
wait. Hold on a second, Danny. Hold on. What did you just say?
Somebody in the chat, I haven't confirmed it, but somebody in the chat said Cashman's out, Paul O'Neill's going to be the GM, and then that's going to get rid of the Cashman Judge problem.
Ah, there you go.
Hence the tweet thing at you, maybe.
Hence the fan-sided article where Paul O'Neill's relative is telling me I'm wrong. If you listen to Judge's
post-game comments, he spoke in the past tense about New York. He, a lot of that could be, just him, playing it wisely for, driving the price up for New York, sounding like he's gone. But everything he said was, I just didn't get the championship done here. I was hoping to. He very much spoke like he was saying goodbye.
Oh, I mean, let's make sense of this for a second. Let's just say, for whatever reason, there was some bad blood between Cashman and Judge because of contract negotiations up to this point, because that's probably what it's based on, right? Realistically, are you realistically going to sign to play somewhere just because they changed the general manager? I mean, come on. Let's be totally honest about this. The general manager is probably in the lineage of what's important, is probably like eighth in importance, right? I mean, are you telling me that Aaron Judge suddenly, because Paul O'Neill is the GM, is suddenly going to be like, you know what? My wife can't stand New York. And, yeah, we're all from the West and we'd rather live West. But wait a second. Cashman's out and Paul O'Neill's in. Fuck yeah, I'm signing with the Yankees. I ain't going anywhere. I love New York, man. It's all about Cashman. And the reason I was going to uproot my family and move to the other coast was because of my dislike for Cashman, some executive that I may see on the plane, every 5 days. I mean, it's like, what? Really? Come on. If you didn't like the manager, maybe that's a little bit more plausible. But how many guys really switch teams because of the general manager? And then contrarily, how many guys are going to decide they don't want to switch teams because they have a new general manager? I mean, that's just Yankee fan losers wishing out loud. I mean, that's just like, oh, please make him. He hated Cashman. Throw O'Neill in there. Hopefully he'll stay.
All right, I'm cutting this clip.
Has a lot to do.
I'm cutting this clip and tweeting it at Fansided. Lakers, this is just Yankee fan losers.
I mean, seriously, come on, man. Paul O'Neill's there. Oh, Paul O'Neill's there? Oh, in that case, sign me up. Are you kidding me? Paul O'Neill had a ground ball between the second baseman and the first baseman 15 years ago, and I just can't ever forget that. And now that he's there, oh, hell yeah. Now suddenly my wife and I love New York, and we love the media, and we love, from what I've been told, and my source is good, that Judge, it's not about the Yankees or Paul O'Neill. It's about coming west. And the kid's from the West. His wife's from the West. She went to Fresno State. He went to Fresno State. They've done the New York thing, the good, the bad, the ugly. They've seen every aspect of it. They've every 5-star restaurant, bar, lounge that they want to be the toast of, they've been the toast of. Every bit of adulation and fan passion that they wanted to drink in, they've drunk in. At this point, he probably just would like a better, not just you can't say, well, he's walking away from winning. They never won. I mean, he didn't win. The Yankees have a lot of money. They didn't win. All right. So the Dodgers and Giants both, Giants have won World Series. The Dodgers, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, won a World Series in the bubble. They're pretty.
It's an asterisk.
It's an asterisk, but they've been to the World Series.
Yeah, I put a tweet out. The Giants since 2000 own the National League West when it comes to World Series appearances and titles. They've got 4 appearances, 3 titles. Dodgers have 2 1/3 appearances. I give them a third for the 60-game season and an asterisk. They lost in 17 and 18. The Rockies have 1 appearance in 2007, lost. The Diamondbacks 1 appearance in 2001, and they won. And the Padres 0 appearances.
Oh, by the way, how bad are the Padres? They trade for Hader. They've been, I got to have this lefty power reliever. Then they get Bryce Harper in the biggest game, and Hader's nowhere to be found.
So
what a bunch of losers the Padres are. They just meekly checked out of. They're in the NLCS. Goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah, now you're at home.
No, it's. I'll say this with. I listened to Bruce Bochy this morning. He had a press conference.
Boch is back with the Rangers.
What if he met the Texas Rangers press? I just loved hearing him. It's just so refreshing to hear a manager who is just on top of his game. He's refreshing to listen to.
Well, and then that changes my whole thing with the Giants. Bochy's such a class act that he just played along, but they cleared his ass out.
Absolutely.
And that is so wrong. For this guy, they showed Bruce Bochy the door for Krappler. That's just unbelievable.
Yep.
Seriously, the Giants deserve anything they get. You had a World Series manager that wanted to stay, and you basically said, oh, he's going to retire. They did everything but give him a fucking rocking chair. And so he's going to retire. Here he is a year later.
Did you hear?
A 3-year deal. He signed a 3-year deal.
Exactly. He's only 67. Come on.
You just cleared out a future Hall of Fame manager for Krappler.
Yep. And did you hear Flannery's tweet today? He said
what
this.
did he say?
Congrats to the Yankees, who struck out 50 times in 4 games. Tell me again how analytics work. It's all a hoax and fake, boring baseball. Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. And I retweeted
Matt
that.
Matt donates $4.99. He says, has anyone heard of the status of Trey Lance's injury? Yeah, I have. He's out for the year. We've not heard anything other than the initial post-op report. Could he come back this year? No.
They're not going to.
He's out for the year. He's out for the year.
Larry, do you have to go on with Grant at 2? Because
3. He moved it to 4. 4.
Okay.
Kyle's talking at 3:30. Grant and I will be on his channel at 4. Cool. And I'm getting all my F-bombs out here so I can not drop them on his channel. We got a couple here in the chat I want to get to.
Yeah.
The Hondalorian. Krueg is dropping a lot of F-bombs today. LOL. They're rightly dropped in my opinion. Thank you. I only swear when it's appropriate. But if you notice, my kid has not been anywhere around here because my wife clears him out when I'm dropping the F-bombs. Randy Daytona, which is a great name.
Great.
Is that a great name or what?
Is he a porn star?
Randy Daytona? Yeah, it's my buddy Randy Daytona. I mean, that is a great name. I may use that as my AKA. Like when I check into hotels.
No, I'm stealing it, Larry. I'm
my alias.
Common as is.
Larry Daytona. Room 12. I'm in room 1249 at the Westin. Larry Daytona. If you're looking for me, if anybody's ever looking for me, and you call the hotel and they say we don't have a Larry Krueger here. Do you have a Larry Daytona? Yes, I do. Yes, we do. I can connect you to Mr. Daytona right now. Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling the Westin. Okay, this one. Randy Daytona. My girlfriend babysat O'Neill's kids. The dude is mean as fuck. There you go. Randy, how dare you swear like that?
Yeah.
Distortion Productions, which is Dan's company, I believe.
I think it's maybe it's Nick's.
Grant is going to love the Niners being in the dumps today. He's a wrestling heel. Seriously, I don't know if Grant slept last night.
No, I heard Grant's show last night. I kind of heard bits. Well,
how long was it? Was it brief?
It was about 40 minutes or so. But he basically. It was get rid of.
Gave out an F to Jimmy.
Kyle's on the
F to the coaches. F to everyone on defense. All the weapons got A's.
Well, how the weapons? I mean, the defense has to get an F.
Yeah. I don't know how he gave. I don't know how he gave the wide receivers and the running backs A's, but Jimmy an F.
He's so damn good at what he does because he's getting us to talk about him right now, and he frustrates people. He frustrates the hell out of everyone.
I like Grant. I don't care what anybody says. Nick says 5 straight ALCS losses. The Yankees are losers. Ha. There is something satisfying about watching the Yankees lose.
Oh, did you see Pedro last night after you guys were probably crashed, but he was like, I just got this to say to New York.
These are my Yankees are my
he goes,
daddy or something.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And then he's like, it's not Papi or me anymore. Who's your daddy? He says,
well, you remember when Pedro said the Yankees are our daddy.
Yeah. Then he goes,
and then the Yankee fans are, who's your daddy?
Yeah. Then he goes,
who's your daddy?
He goes, is the Houston Astros? I think that's your daddy.
Pedro's the man.
I love Pedro's
man. I'll say this. When I first saw that whole Fox baseball post show, I'm like, oh my God, this is a cluster F. I can't stand A-Rod. I can't stand Poppy. But you know what? That guy Burkhart is damn good. I love Burkhart. I love Hurt. Love Frank. A-Rod is actually stomachable on that. Pedro is great on that. I even don't mind Poppy on that. I love the vibe of that post-game Fox show.
Oh, yeah.
I told Burkhart that. I direct tweeted him a year or two ago about that. I'm like, dude, you have turned that Fox post-game into something really, really good in a short amount of time. Kevin Burkhart is good.
Yeah. Also, it's just great to not have A-Rod. I don't like A-Rod as an announcer.
Great. Joe Davis is the play-by-play for the Dodgers, and he's pretty good. He's a young guy, but he called that Bryce's homer. He talked about Bryce coming up. He said, could he put the Phillies into the World Series with one swing of the bat, and then he hits the home run, and he goes, the swing of his life, and it was just a classic call. I mean, he's really good. He's really good.
Do we understand this, Mr. BMW Lotus? I'm liking his energy. He's kind of all over the place, and I'm digging it. He's asking if we have a Krueg coffee machine, and then he said he loves his Krueg coffee machine. Shocking, but Larry doesn't drink coffee.
Never had a single cup of coffee. Well, I shouldn't say that because I did try it, but I've never had a full cup of coffee in my entire life. And I think
Krueg,
what you're talking about, it's a Keurig.
Oh, Keurig. Keurig. Oh,
he's talking about a Keurig, which is Keurig. And you know, the funny thing is my father, who's no longer with us, God bless him. He was up there. He's a great, great man. He never I mean, seriously, this guy shut off technology at the advancement of the VCR. Like when the VCR showed up, it was like, could you get the movie machine going? Hey, Lar, could you get in here and flip on the movie machine? It's like, Dad, all you got to do is turn the TV to channel 3, and then you can watch whatever's off the VCR. That's it. That's the entire deal. But every time, hey, Lar, can we get the movie? Your mother and I are thinking about watching the movie machine. Could you hook it up for us? I'm like, Dad, turn to channel 3, and anything that's on the VCR will show. So we bought him a Keurig, right? Like after my mom passed. They died sadly only like about 9 months apart. But we bought him a Keurig machine, and you got those little coffee flavored things, and you put them in, and he loved his morning coffee, and he mastered the Keurig. He put it in there, his flavor. He's like, yeah, Larry, you want a cup of coffee? I'm like, no, Dad, I don't drink coffee. He's like, all right, and he hit the thing, put it in there, push the button, digs down, you just hit this, you hit that, you hit this. I'm like, Dad, you're awesome on the Keurig. And he's like,
I got to put the water in.
Gotta have my coffee. He's like, I gotta have my coffee.
Are you guys down to watch that? This is the Bryce Harper home run with the Moneyball music. It's pretty.
I heard that. Yeah.
I don't know why this is. Okay.
It's low.
Yeah.
What is the music though? I don't know the Moneyball music.
Moneyball.
It's like at the end when Scott Hatterberg hits the home run to like.
Oh, okay. Sean S says Larry's hilarious today. Thank you, Sean. This is what I'm punch drunk. I'm this is what happens when you stay up all night and sleep all morning. You come out like this. Mark Gray says we are alike, Larry. I've never had a cup of Joe myself. There you go, Mark. Fist in the air for but at the same time, this is my replacement. So I mean,
I went with this. Went with the Pepsi.
My brother likes the Diet Pepsi. I can't go diet. Diet Pepsi.
All right, let me know.
Wow, I'm getting goosebumps.
I know.
Who do you guys like? By the way, when's game 1?
Is it Friday or Saturday?
I'm rooting for Dusty and the Astros.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's a very good chance the Astros just turn off the Phillies water, but maybe not. This Phillies team reminds me a little bit of the Nationals.
I love this Phillies team.
Friday,
Hoskins and Harper are all raking all the big guys, hitting big home runs. The Miles Teller is in the crowd going crazy. The Philly crowds are going crazy. They're already greasing the poles in case of a parade. I like it. I like how angsty Philly is and how,
Nick's like, damn, could have had Bryce in San Francisco. MF says, why does Farhan take pride in being at the table when Bryce was a free agent? Yeah, exactly.
Farhan did.
Oh, wait a second. Graves says mute Danny for having the Diet Pepsi. Balboa Becker, which is my other alias. Larry's on fire. Got me cracking up. Then we get this one. Nick says, I go Dr. Pepper or Coke Zero, 4 to 8 per day. 4 to 8 per day? Nick, we're going to have an intervention. For that alone, I'm unmuting Danny. Danny, I think we need an intervention.
I have one of these, maybe a couple, 1 or 2 a week.
The Coke Zero? Somebody explain. Go ahead.
It's BS. It's like it says like they're able to make it so that it's technically 0 calories and 0 sugar and all this stuff, but they put ingredients in it that still are like technically not sugar, but they still spike your like glucose and all that kind of stuff in the same way.
There you go. Dusty Gold says, Larry, you look damn good. No shit face today. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll tell my wife.
I'll say this about Bryce
come over
Harper.
Here. No shit face today.
Yeah. Bryce Harper and everything. Philadelphia. This is 4th year. So, sports is.
I love this. I took down 12 Coke Zeros yesterday. 9 hours of football, 1 to 2 an hour. I get it. Goodness. I love that. I actually love that.
And Nick had a big day yesterday in fantasy. Wasn't he playing you? Who was he playing?
Oh, well, first of all, he was playing me. I made some mistakes in fantasy yesterday.
Nick
I should have listened to my kid.
Here we go. Nick right now has 120 points. He's already beaten you, and he's not done yet. He's got tonight. He's got Damon Harris. So yeah, he's already got a victory.
How about this chat, Mario? How come we aren't talking about how Kapler are being let go by the Phillies, and 3 years later they're in the World Series?
Yeah, I love it. I made that point yesterday to Romo. We were talking. Yeah.
How about this one? Sean S. Kapler would have pinch hit Ramon Martinez for Harper. Exactly. Kapler would have found some ridiculous stat that told him he should take Harper out of the game. Yeah, we wanted to pinch run there in the 6th, but you didn't have him in the 9th or the 8th. Well, yeah. I was told to do it.
We got to talk about Marshawn Lynch Saturday night. Oh my goodness! Did you see Marshawn on the TV? Okay, I don't know where Rye stepped out to, but he dropped an F-bomb right on live on ESPN.
Marshawn did. Was that Sports Center?
No, it was live during the game. ESPN was doing the broadcast, and I just sent it to Rye. I taped the whole thing. He just like.
What was the context? Can you explain it before Rye gets back and plays it?
Yeah, he was like they were interviewing him and Justin Forsett about coming back, being inducted into the Cal Hall of Fame, and Marshawn's just talking about his time here and how he didn't realize that it was going to be, him and Justin would be back together again, and it was just good to see him. And then he's talking about the crowd, and then he just says, these MFers. Then he goes, he says, he's talking about the crowd. They got to pack the place out. He's used to. He was kind of coming down on the fact that it's empty. Hey, we got a new member. Nick wasn't a member.
What's that?
Right. Nick,
look at that! Look at that, Nick. Just become a YouTube member. There you go. Nick, thanks for being a member. Yeah. If you are a member, you get our videos from the locker room a little bit ahead of time, and also a few extra videos that nobody else gets.
Hey, Ryan, we were talking about Marshawn.
Be a member.
Did you see the Marshawn interview on ESPN during the game?
About Russell?
No. No, about the cow. I just sent it to you. Play it.
Oh.
This was.
By the way, I didn't. Jackson J says Warriors versus Kings. Dubs 89 points in the first half, but only 41 points in the second half. I didn't get a chance to watch that game. I taped it, and it's
unbelievable.
I'm gonna watch that later.
They were on.
I got a 2-team parlay going. I took a 2-teamer this weekend for my pick on my bookie. By the way, go sign up mybookie.com or is it dot? It's not maybe not dot. AG.AG, my bookie, and make sure you type in Larry K and you'll get the promo code. You'll save money. But my pick this weekend, I took Ravens Patriots on the tees, and it was Ravens +1 at home against the Browns, which that was looking like it was an easy win. Are you eating completes right now?
I figured it wasn't a Krueg show unless I got a little something to eat. No, my dad got me lunch. He got me Panda Express.
Oh, I look like
Panda. Let's see. I want first of all, you can eat during the show, but the rule is you have to show what you're eating.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I necessarily want to know this.
Can we see it?
It's about as bad looking as it possibly can be from Panda. I said try and make it as healthy as possible.
What is it? What is what did you go? A chicken string beans?
It's broccoli beef and like the teriyaki chicken with some rice. Like it's not.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
All right, and I just dumped a bunch of chili sauce on it. Oh wait, that red.
What's that red thing?
That's what is that?
Green.
What's the red?
It's like the green. Oh, it's the broccoli.
Oh, it's red, but
it's broccoli.
It's a green screen.
I was going to say, you're eating blood?
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks like a pool of blood. The Warriors beat the Kings, though, right? Warriors topped the Kings.
Yeah. They almost gave it away. The second unit came in and had no juice, according to Kerr. Second unit looked terrible. And, I was talking to my brother last night, who's a coach. We were watching the game kind of together. And he said Kuminga, he thinks, is probably going to get sent down to play in the G League to get more seasoning. He says his offense game looks good, but defensively very poor. And that's
can they do that with second-year players?
Oh yeah, they can send them down.
I don't know.
Send them down just for games.
I normally would disagree with that, but they're so deep, and they've got such a perplexing issue with minutes that they may do it.
Chenzo may have pulled a little bit of a hamstring last night, so don't know how long he's going to be out.
Well, that's the beauty of being as deep as they are. They can just rest everybody who gets hurt even a little bit. Dusty Gold says, Larry, you got to get Marshawn on your show. It fits right in. Marshawn's agent is my buddy Doug Hendrickson, so we'll effort on that.
I sent you the video. Put it up. Yeah, this is hilarious.
How much fun is it to be back out here with this guy?
Well, for me, I mean, it's always a dream come true, because I would have thought we would never have this moment again.
That's Justin Forsett.
Both of our careers had ended, and kind of the football thing was over. But then, when we found out that we were getting inducted into the Hall of Fame together, it gave us one more opportunity to get out there and experience something like this. I'm not gonna speak for Justin, but I mean, I'm from the Bay Area, but when I look around the stands and I see that these motherfuckers, these stands, how they were when we were here, that shit kind of got me.
That shit.
I ain't feeling that, but so if this is California Golden Bears, they need to start packing out this stadium.
Oh, I wanted to hear so badly how she addressed the MF and the S-bomb.
She just went.
Well, that's great. That's somebody else's problem, not mine. Thank you for joining us. Well, look at this. This might be the longest chat that we've ever had in the entire show, to the point where almost my head is beneath the chat. You see that? I'm like down here under the chat. All right, Doug.
Oh, yeah. How'd you get that many letters in there? He did a Facebook copy or something.
I think maybe Facebook allows. I said it's because I think he's responding to a comment that I made from the Krueg Show account when I was mixing it up a little bit. I got to find it.
Don't you drop any F-bombs using my name. Just Larry Krueger. They've won with his middling quarterback play before. Won what exactly? They've also lost a multitude of games they had no business losing directly, because of mostly him. It has run its course. He should be gone right now. I'd literally prefer
Kyle?
No, he's talking about Jimmy.
Okay.
I'd literally prefer just about any other quarterback in the league over him now. Darnold, Mariota, Taylor, Purdy. Yeah. I mean, okay. Jimmy has obvious flaws, Doug. Yep. There's just no question. But let's not this is not the game to, he had the bad turnover in the red zone, but he did complete nearly 70% of his passes. He threw for over 300 yards. He's been worse than what we saw yesterday. I just think that, Garoppolo overall, there's flaws there, but 68%, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and he was sacked 5 times. I would go with Purdy at some point, because I like Purdy, and I think Purdy has upside that's greater than just a backup quarterback. But I don't know that the time's right now. And I think I would stay with Jimmy.
Purdy unless they're 3-7.
Right. And then what happens if Purdy then goes on this rampage and wins a bunch of games, and it's going to be like, why didn't you go to Purdy earlier? You know what I mean? Which I cannot wait for that. When we get to the point of why don't they go to Purdy earlier, I think I'm going to take some fucking victory laps on that one. We might have to have Purdy on a regular basis at that point.
I personally don't think you'll see Purdy this year unless there's an injury to Jimmy.
I don't know about that.
Are you saying the Niners are done then? Because the Niners are right.
No, but I mean, I think if let's just say he didn't have that, let's say instead of completing 68%, he completed 52% and mix in another interception, I think we'd be seeing Purdy this week. I really believe. I don't think Shanahan's got any kind of. He's not wed to Garoppolo, but at the same, I mean, they're trying to get wins any way they can get them.
I don't. I mean, you might see that if Jimmy's having a really bad game, like the other day, Clemson's quarterback on Saturday had a horrible game.
Ugalele.
Syracuse defense is for real,
and they pulled him and. The quarterback backup came in and won, but they were talking to him afterwards and to Dabo, and Dabo said ukulele, whatever is, how do you say that? Whatever. He goes, he's our guy. He's our guy. He just had a bad game, and he'll be back next game. He's got to improve.
Backup is also
he goes, write it down. He's our guy. So,
yeah, but I mean, just because Clemson's staying with DJ doesn't mean that the Niners are staying with Garoppolo. But I hear you. I mean, the last thing you want to do is you don't want to be juggling your quarterback week to week to week. So you want to make sure. I personally think that this is what you're going to see. You're going to see Garoppolo play better, or you're going to see Garoppolo suddenly have an injury that causes him to miss time. But I don't think you'll see him replaced. Like, I don't think you're just going to be like, hey, healthy Garoppolo, he's just not playing well. Sit down. The kid's in there. It's going to be like, oh, his finger. Oh, his shoulder. Oh, his ankle. It's going to be something. I don't
understand. Like Vicky Boone says, get him out of there. He's let's give Jimmy G a medal for not being as bad as he was. Get him out of there. I don't see Jimmy being the issue at all yesterday. I mean, he had some passes that were dropped.
He had a turnover at the goal line.
Yeah, well, so does Aaron Rodgers have a turnover now and then, and Tom Brady and everybody.
But you're saying at all. I mean, you don't have to commit a turnover at the goal line.
Well, no, but let's put it this way: he did get 23 points, and that cost him at least 3, maybe 7. So 26 to, had he not made that, I mean, again, the field goal they had to. Abort the field goal and punt because of an offsides, that would have probably been 3 points. He would have put up 26 points yesterday.
Do you favor limitations on aborting field goals? All right. Vicky, we've got this one. We're talking. NF says he loves Panda, and I don't think he means Sandoval.
Yeah.
I think he means the food. And then we've got this one from Nick. It says orange chicken triple entree.
There goes Ringo looking for the food.
Yeah, he's 100%.
Hey,
I want to see the desperation in Ringo's face.
Oh, he's already examining the carpet.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Ringo's like hovering. Look at Ringo. Ringo means business. He's licking his lips.
Chicken?
Ooh, chicken. Tell him to sit.
Lunch?
Ringo's like, hey, bro, I just ate a pile of shit last week, and this all looks good. Are you kidding me? I'm not discerning.
How about the pass from Jimmy to Jeff Wilson, Wilson ran not a very good route to the ball, would have been a TD. Then you had Kittle drop a ball right in his breadbasket.
There's a lot of drops on this offense, and it's not when it was Trey. It was like, hey, Trey doesn't throw a catchable ball. Yeah. Now you just see you got a lot of drops. I'll tell you one thing I'd like to see when I'm not watching practice this week is I'd like to see them bust out the jugs gun and make these guys catch some balls in that jugs gun. There's enough drops to have to work on it. You know what I mean? Let's work on it.
They're leading the league in drop percentage, I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, McCaffrey might be their best receiver in terms of just reliability in hands.
Yeah, Dusty Gold says it. Receivers dropping passes back to the jugs machine, Larry. Yeah, bust out the jugs machine. But, I mean, ultimately, we shouldn't overreact to the Niner thing. I guess my whole thing would be the offense. The offense is out of rhythm. It needs to establish a rhythm. Jimmy's a little out of rhythm. Kyle seems like he is kind of mentally fried by all the different changes, and they need to figure it out offensively as far as getting to a rhythm. Who does what, when, where? You got all these versatile weapons.
You know how you get into a rhythm? You know how you get Jimmy into a rhythm?
How's that?
Remember the game the year they it was Monday night, the year they went to the Super Bowl. Cleveland came to Santa Clara, and they started the game up in the hurry up offense, and they just went down, and then you had the long run by Mozart, but just put them in the hurry up. First
of all, that's the other issue I was going to bring up. Second week in a row.
Yeah.
And they're getting their doors blown off, and the clock is ticking, and they cannot speed it the fuck up. What the hell? Where is the hurry up? Now, you weren't going to win anyway, but so what? Go faster.
Yeah.
I mean, when there's a point in the game where you're separated from the other team on the scoreboard, and you either have to score fast and maybe win, are you trying to get close? Are you trying to beat the spread, or are you trying to win? Because at some point you're going to have to speed it up. And I would use tempo I agree with you wholeheartedly. I would use tempo and speed it up in the first half to establish rhythm and to get the defense reeling a little bit. Now, what do you got that other teams don't have? You have a bevy of proven, established NFL weapons. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey. I think what I would like to see is a package that goes with a 4-wide look, an empty backfield set, and play with go with the empty. Get Jimmy in the shotgun, go 4 and 5 wides and spread everybody the hell out, and then 3-step drop and get in a rhythm. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Boom, boom.
Exactly.
And then mix in a draw, mix in a fake, and then a wraparound handoff where you're, mix in a shovel.
Can you do that again? Can you do that wraparound handoff? I like that. My socket. Another thing that really
I never thought I'd say this, but mix in a wraparound.
Yeah,
mix in a wraparound.
Pissed me off watching this game. It may not look as bad at the stadium, but on TV it looks awful. Brendel, put some force on that snap. It floats back there on the shotgun.
Look at Danny. Danny's ripping Brendel's snap.
I can't stand that.
Danny, I wish you were.
He snaps it like Jimmy's got a dress
you're passionate about that. Let me give you something I'm passionate about. How dry are the chicken tenders at halftime?
Oh,
is it chicken tenders or is it jerky?
I didn't even go for them.
The darker the tender, the drier the chicken. Those tenders. Those tenders are dry, Danny.
I can't.
Is there any advice? Does anybody in the chat have advice for dry tenders?
I think they expect you to moisten them up by dousing them in scorching hot nacho cheese.
And here's my other complaint, and this is a very, very serious complaint. How do you do pulled pork sandwiches without barbecue sauce?
Oh yeah, you gotta have barbecue.
Come on, Niners!
That's ridiculous.
I'm literally getting esophagus issues because I need some moisture. Come on, Niners.
They did the street tacos the first week out there, and everyone was in line for the street tacos. And I was like, ooh, these probably are gonna be great. I'm like, they're like, do you want cheese on it? Sure. They put on this cheese. I'm like, oh, that's some authentic queso. They're just dropping on the top of these tacos. I take a bite. It's Parmesan cheese.
By the way, we got this one. Nick says China Moon and Moraga is an excellent spot.
Love China Moon.
Are we now recommending our favorite Chinese places? I'll recommend a Chinese place. I'm going to type it into the box underneath. I recommended it the other day to the great Damon Bruce during our show, and I recommended it over the air. Okay, here it is. Wait, where is it? There we go. Did I put it? Is it in there? Is it in the chat? There it is.
That was the typo.
Shulung is my favorite Chinese restaurant in the city. It's in West Portal. You guys ever been to West Portal?
Good to know.
West Portal. It's spelled XIAOLOONG. Tiny little Cantonese place in West Portal. The pot stickers are as big as this fist. See this fist? It's like that big. It's a huge pot sticker. The chive dumplings are absolutely amazing. The chicken chow mein, amazing. The lemon chicken, amazing. The Mongolian beef, amazing. My buddy Jeff owns the place. Go in there, tell him you know me, get the pot stickers. They'll treat you like a king. And you'll leave that place going, God damn, Krueg is all over it. This guy's got connects. He knows the best Chinese place in the world. Shulung, West Portal in SF. Danny, leave Arizona and move to California. Do it for Shulung. I will do it for Shulung. Right now, you're a country mile away from Shulung. They don't go drive. They don't do take home to Mesa. You can't get Shulung in the 55 and over. They're not going to get by the guard. I mean, seriously, go check out Shulung. It's amazing. Oh, wait, look at this one. Look at this one. Larry picks the obvious dishes. Oh, great.
You're getting me hungry.
Yeah, you're right. I don't get super fancy. Don't give me the fish that the head is still on or something. I'm not. I don't get deep in my Cantonese. I do like. I'm not broccoli beef, but which is like a turkey sandwich with mayo in the Chinese food ordering process. But I will say the house chicken with the pepper. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
I mean, Larry, you can only fit so much in your brain. You've got the deep cuts of like all the fourth string offensive linemen across the league.
We got a message from Sean Proctor here.
Oh.
I'm installing some Windows right now. We'll have to check it out later. Tell the boys Sean P says Jimmy has got to go. It's Brock Purdy time. There you go, Sean Proctor. That's Dan Coach Emilio. Oh no, is that Danny?
No, I just copied and pasted his message. He texted.
Is that your high school graduation senior photo or something?
No, that's my.
You're taking a picture in front of a tree.
Oh, that was my Gabe Kapler photo shoot.
Where's your bikini?
There's not nearly enough coconut oil on the top of your head, Larry.
Okay, here's the question. Everybody, there's a question for all sports fans.
Like
for Giants fans, here's the question. Aaron Judge calls. He says, "I want to play there, but you got to get rid of Krappler."
Gone. Not even. I don't even breathe. Gone.
Seriously, gone. You're like Eddie D. He's out of here. He's gone. Excuse me, Eddie. What's the deal with Mark Trestman? And he just grabbed the mic. He's gone. Yeah. Like, don't worry, everybody. He's gone.
I'd be like, thank you for saving us, Aaron.
Oh man, what can wait? Do we have any? Celts Chronicle says Monster Slam. Do we have Danny on the Monster Slam that we can play to lighten the mood?
Yes.
Monsters.
This Dusty Gold says I got food poisoning from Dan's completes.
I keep loading it up and then I take it.
GTC Reels, Larry, you're an insane person. Thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I think I am.
Oh, how about this? What about I have like a couple cuts from the game or from the post game with Womack and TDP, and it's all like positive stuff, like what they can take away from the game. Super.
Yeah, I'll be right back. You guys got me hungry.
Jonathan Chavez, give me whatever Krug's on. I need that every day.
I'm gonna heat up what my wife made me for lunch.
Oh, look at you! Look at you! What did you get made for you?
I'll have to pull it out and show it to you. I got to heat it up in the microwave.
Are you, by the way, Danny? Are you now using the living room as a hat display cabinet over there?
Yeah, I put the hats in the background for a little bit. I've got the couple of Giants hats. Got a
really
Warriors.
Sets the mood. It sets the mood.
Yeah. Let me grab my food here, and Rye got me hungry with that.
What is it? Can you at least tell us what it is?
It's
lumpia.
No, it's what
do you
got? It's called chicken adobo.
I'll tell you what, the Chinese food,
chicken
I love
adobo.
Chinese food.
Chicken adobo. That sounds risky, man. That's
a Filipino dish. It's just
sounds
kind
good.
Of chicken and potatoes.
Chicken and potatoes. Monday.
Chicken adobo is chicken and potatoes.
The thing about Chinese food, and I'm experiencing it now, it was so good, but when you have it at lunch, it's like I had so much energy, and now I feel like I just like took 7 melatonin.
Yeah, now it's nap time. It's a great nap time place. SF49. Thank you, Krueg. I'm not sure for what, but whatever.
Here's Sammy.
Here's the smartest chat I've seen all day. Larry's 100% right.
Well, that's exactly right.
And who knows what I'm even talking about. What the heck? It just looks like a bunch of potatoes. Are those potatoes even cooked? I don't want to rip the adobo, but I mean,
before Dan's back, I love the way he says, like, it's the way my grandpa says words. Like, he says potatoes. He says Monday, as if
that's Ratty used to say Monday. Yeah, we're gonna do it on. He's gonna stop by on Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday.
Wait, let's ask him to say, Dan, say you are eating potatoes on a Monday. I'm eating potatoes on a Monday.
Taters on a Monday. Monday taters.
Wait, okay, let me just rip these because I feel like I should share them or else I don't know where else they're gonna go. All right, this is Womack on the special teams fumble recovery.
I mean, it made me feel good. I mean, it just make the team feel good also. I mean, without me being on defense right now, I'm just trying to make a play any way I can, and what better way to do it on special teams.
All right, there we go. Now here's him on the positives.
Good kid, man. Great pick. Great pick. Really good kid.
I feel like the team not really down. We know it's a long season. I mean, I feel like they've been in this position before last year too. So, I mean, the morale of the team is not down. So I feel like that's a positive because, I mean, you can get the pointing fingers and doing a lot of negative stuff when you start losing. But, I mean, it's still togetherness in this locker room, and that's what I like.
And then this is the last one. This is on the final.
That's good. That's good to hear that and that's the vibe that we get when we're in there. They're not gripping. They know it's a marathon, not a sprint, especially this year with everybody kind of being down in the conference.
And this is Ty Davis Price on pretty much saying pretty much the same thing.
Positive, I'll say, man, just coming together, gelling together as a team even more. You know, just fixing the mistakes that we have. We have a lot of mistakes on the field, so we get back in the film and get that back in there.
So with like how strong this locker room is, do you kind of feel like these kind of losses like bring everyone closer together? And
Most definitely, no doubt. You know, and the additional running back we have also with Christian, you know, he's going to be a lot of help to us.
Very quiet. Or was that? I mean, the losing locker room. The last thing you can't be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know, it's golf talk. It's it's like the talk around the green when someone's putting. You know, we're trying what we can do, and we can.
It's part that, and it's part like, okay, I don't want to be too loud because I don't want other reporters to hear that I'm interviewing him, and then they're going to come over. Last that I have is Womack on the final score being a little bit misleading.
I mean, there's just opportunities we didn't take advantage of in the game, and that's how the score ended the way it was. But, I mean, we was right there in it the whole game, and we should have came out with the win. We just got to take advantage of the opportunities that's given to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's his perspective, and I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. But what I saw from the upper deck and what I saw again when I watched it over again is that Mahomes did what he wanted to do, and he not tested. This was not anywhere close to the test that they had the week before from Buffalo's defense. And the 49ers didn't provide a lot of resistance. They're the chief offensive line won up front. They kept Mahomes clean. Kansas City was on their game. And Mahomes dropped back to pass. He had all day to throw most of the time. The other thing that Mahomes has kind of realized, I think, is that, and we saw it in this game, is that when you don't have it, or when, it's like a second down pass play and the guy that you want to go to is got, bracket coverage. He's got a guy on both sides of him. Just fire it hard into the turf and go to the next down. And that's what he does. He used to put that up for grabs and make it a 50-50 ball, and those things were getting picked the last couple of years. And if you look at Mahomes' interceptions, he's thrown too many. Now he's grown up and he realizes, hey, just fire that one into the turf and go to the next play. But I'll tell you the thing that's so frustrating, and I'm sure it was frustrating for the players. You win on first down defensively. You win on second down defensively. You get Mahomes into a third and long. And to me, the most disgusting play of the game was the 3rd and long where he dumped it on the screen to McKinnon, and McKinnon got down to the 3, and they got a first down on like third and like 20 something. If you have a 3rd and 10, you got to get off the field. You got a 3rd and 15, you got to get off the field. You get anything over 3rd and 20 and you don't get off the field, inexcusable, man. Inexcusable. I don't care who's the coordinator. I don't care who's playing. I don't care who's hurt. I don't care. If you have 3rd and 24, you have to get off the field. And the angles that they took were terrible. They took a lot of bad angles. But there was just they don't have Tyreek. Like, if you have Tyreek down the field and you can't stay within 3, 4, 5 yards of him, guess what? I understand he's a 4-2 mover. He's a big time guy. You got to stay in the same picture with Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh yeah.
You can't let Juju Smith-Schuster just, play. Mahomes played pitch and catch with Marquez Valdez, with Kelsey, with Smith-Schuster all day.
Everyone that's
there was never any resistance.
Everyone that's had these guys on fantasy this year knows like they've been extremely disappointing, and this is the one week where like everyone exploded. I actually have one last one. This is just one last softball question, and it's a nothing answer, but it's still whatever.
You're excited for next week going to LA?
Going to LA.
There we go.
That's it.
What was the question?
Just asked him, give me one thing you're excited, because everyone was funneling out, and I was like, one more question. Well, give me one thing you're excited for about going to LA next week. Kind of thinking you'd maybe say something about the Rams. Then he just said, going to LA. Like,
all right, well,
yeah, there you go.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I love talking to the players. Love going on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, talking to the players. Absolutely. Doesn't matter what sport it is. Hate post-game locker room. Hate post-game locker room in the clubhouse for the baseball. Hate post-game locker room in basketball. Hate post-game locker room in football. Hate post-game locker room. You're literally talking to guys fighting a trench war, and you're asking them how the war's going. And they're in a trench, and all they see is the guy in front of them, and they haven't reviewed the film. And they don't know. And the last thing they want to do is make excuses, point fingers, or try to act like they know why they lost. But you're asking questions and they're looking for answers. And it's like, hey, what the heck? I hate that. It comes across like the questions come across like we know more than you.
Yeah. We're
here about to either write or come up with our second guessing of your performance. And it's not fun. It's drudgery. Guys are trying to put their underwear on and go see their families. And you're questioning, as you've spent, let's say 3 or 4 hours analyzing the game. They've spent like 50 or 60 or 100 hours analyzing the opponent. And now you're going to ask them questions about the game and the game plan. And invariably it's going to be what happened. And invariably it's going to be like, who are you pointing the finger at? And they don't want to point the finger. And then in baseball, if a guy's going good, it's like he doesn't want to think about it because it's like bad karma to think, like, hey, man, you had 4 hits today. What happened? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to get 4 hits tomorrow. Hey, you went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to dwell on it. It's like there's never going to be a good time to talk to a baseball player about the game after the game. I'd much rather blow off.
Only one exception.
When they win it all.
When you won it all.
Yeah. Or lost, or when it's over. Yeah. I love going into a celebratory clubhouse after the series is over. Why? Because they'll be honest. They're done with that team. They can tell you some anecdote of what happened. You know what? They kept going slider once I got 2 strikes on me. Obviously, the book was they're just going to keep peppering me with sliders. They only threw me sliders once I got 2 strikes the entire time. So I kind of knew he was going to throw a slider, and he's having a hard time spotting that thing for a strike. So that's why I took those pitches. That's insight. That's anecdotes. That's useful. Not like, hey, man, you guys lost. What happened? Hey, you guys won. What happened? It's like, no, I don't. I'd rather blow off the post game and get to the locker room earlier. Let's say it's a baseball clubhouse. I'd rather blow off the post game, get to the clubhouse instead of at 3, get there at 1, and maybe find 1 or 2 guys who are sitting around the next day when they got a real good idea after they've reviewed their at bats and looked at the box score and talked to the coaches, and then all of a sudden you might get something and you'll get golden stuff that's incredible. But post game, hated it. Absolutely hated it. Guy's just trying to get dressed and go see his kid and lick his wounds. And he's got 9 different, areas of his body that are aching. And he's got an injury that he's not sure if he's going to be able to play with. And he's got an MRI scheduled and he doesn't, and it's like, you're sitting there going, was it McGlinchey's fault? It's like, no, it wasn't. Okay. Was it, do you blame Kyle? No, I don't. Doesn't it just feel like an exercise? Like when I see, I'm doing these post games, I'm doing the post game on TalkSport, and a lot of the media people go down into the locker room. At no point do I sit there and go, man, I wish I was down there with them. I don't.
It was like,
because they're not getting anything. I know definitively that nobody's getting anything that's worth anything. The only time I ever really liked doing post game was when the Niners had Tavares Gooden. Do you remember him? The former linebacker, special teamer. And he was a freestyle rapper. And after they would win, I'd go to him. I'd be like, hey, Tavares, you got it? Can you give us a little freestyle rap on the win? And his teammates would all start laughing, and everybody would kind of gather around, and I'd hand him the mic, and he'd just start freestyling. Now, that was funny. That was entertaining. That would make guys laugh. And then I would run that back upstairs and be like, dude, you're never going to believe this, but Tavares Gooden did a freestyle rap on the win. Oh, my God, I got to hear it. And then we'd play it. It would be great. Now, that kind of stuff's great.
Yeah, exactly. Guys do not want to. You hit it nail on the head there, Larry, 100%. Guys do not want to talk, especially after a loss, about the game. Like you said, they're licking their wounds. They want to get dressed, get out, people think these guys are like, they just eat, breathe, and drink football 100% of the time. When the game's over, it's like when if you've ever worked a desk job, and it's 5:00, you want to get the hell out of there. You don't want to.
That's the other dynamic. Totally, Danny. It would be like tomorrow if you did your job at work and then on your way to your car, there were a couple people that were like asking you about the key parts of your day. Yeah. Hey, by the way, Larry, you had a conference call at 10:00 this morning. That went pretty good, huh? And you're like, yeah, you know what? We got them to do the buy and they're going to sponsor the show. And we're really, really pleased. And then, hey, by the way, that was a really funny little bit that Danny did. Yeah. It wasn't Danny a character. Yeah. He's okay. So now imagine that's a decent line of questioning, but now imagine it every day. And it's like you're walking to your car. Hey, when you told Dan to shut up in that second segment, you seemed legitimately mad, were you? It's like after a while, it's like, dude, let me just get to my car. I'm done with my job.
I got a family. I want to go home.
I got a 7-year-old who goes to bed at 8:30, and I live 45 minutes away, and it's 7:30. Can I just get in my car because I love my 8-year-old, and I haven't been able to talk to him for 3 days, and I like talking to you, Matt Mayoko, but you know what? I'd rather talk to my 8-year-old. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't be that guy that keeps a man from his 8-year-old.
There's like 35 people in there. Everybody was super bummed out. All the players have their head down. They're trying not to make eye contact because as soon as you make eye contact, then some beat writer
comes.
You some BS questions, get small answers, expand those into a big narrative for their article. So I was like, you know what? I saw everybody, 30 people huddling around Brandon Ayuk. I saw TDP and Womack were talking. I was like, hey, fellas, can I just get like a minute with each of you? I knew it was I said happy birthday to TDP, and I knew Womack made the big play. So I was like, these guys probably be down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And that's just me. But we'll get some stuff. The nice thing about it is when we show up on Wednesday, they will have seen the film. They will have had meetings. They will have reached conclusions on the performance. And they will have shared those conclusions with all their teammates. So that then when you get in there on Wednesday and you say, man, like I plan on going up to a few defensive players on Wednesday, and I'm just going to state it outright, straight in the intro. Hey, the coverage wasn't nearly as tight as it needed to be. What can you guys do to improve that? They may have an idea by Wednesday, one, that is a true statement, that it's undeniable, it's not argumentative, it's just fact. And then they may have an idea of what they individually can do in their process to be better, or what the coach thinks they can do as a unit to be better. They may actually have some ideas. So to me, that's when you get some interesting answers. Absolutely. Wednesday, Thursday. And that's why that's what we're there for.
Speaking of Womack, one of the turning points was you had the field goal, and then they had to punt, and then they fumble, and Womack recovers. They're in the red zone, and that's where they had the interception. 49ers, had they been able to put it in the end zone like Kansas City, every time KC was in the red zone, they scored a TD yesterday. Every time. 49ers got to be able to score in the red zone. They got to clean that up, because had they scored
against teams like Kansas City, you're going to get run over if you don't.
Had they scored the TD, it would have been 2014, 19. I don't know if they would have went for two, or probably they would have just went for one and made it 2014 had they scored. But that could have changed a little bit of the moment. I'm not saying they would have won, but I don't think it would have been a 21-point blowout. It would have been, maybe it would have went down to one or two plays at the end of the game, because you would have went up halftime, hopefully up by 6. Had the defense been able to hold them. Who knows? Maybe Mahomes has 1 minute left.
Let me throw out a theory. This is, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to think about it, because it's weird. The 49ers red zone offense was so spectacular last year. I almost wonder, one of the biggest reasons why Trey is so great is that I'm guessing Kyle built out this extensive, crazy Trey Lance red zone package, which involved him running and read options and all this different stuff. And now it's kind of like, oh crap! Like it's like he's kind of having to come up with it on the fly. And now with the addition of CMC, this addition of CMC is a little bit similar to last year, when all of a sudden they started running Debo, when they were 3-5 going into the Rams game. That's when they first started running Debo, and that kind of changed everything. And all of a sudden, like, everything was built around the running Debo. I'm hoping this year
you're going to see a big change in this offense, a little bit more this week, and then a lot more going in against the Chargers when they come out of the bye. When you get CMC to have a couple of weeks to really study the playbook. Remember, they didn't even give him a playbook on the plane. He had to pass the physical first.
But Ryan, what were you going to say? You hope Debo what?
Not so much Debo, but I hope, because this year I feel like people have kind of figured out the Debo running. I hope that McCaffrey can be this year what Debo getting involved in the running game last year was, meaning, McCaffrey is Kyle's going to develop a game plan with McCaffrey that nobody's going to know how to really stop. With the combination of Debo and McCaffrey in the red zone, I feel like is going to be huge. And the guy's going to score a zillion touchdowns, I feel like.
By the way, if you're in the chat, let's not fight with other people in the chat. I see these guys and some of these guys going back and forth and insulting each other.
On Randy.
Randy Daytona and Mr. NorCal are just, full on fisticuffs in the chat.
Bring them in. Bring them into the room. That's what we do.
Yeah. If you're going to fight, you're going to fight out in the open, damn it. No, but one of the chats in here says,
first of all, when they're sleeping though.
Sean Wilford, 49ers need to trade Bosa for 2 number ones. He was trash yesterday. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Sean.
One game. Let's get rid of him.
Come on. Here we go. Here's another one. J Boogie 510. The cone heads want Kyle fired. Okay. Now let's address that on its merit. Not that Kyle should be fired, but just what are we talking about with these people that have like super strong opinions? I would say instead of making fun of them and just being like, they're all jackasses. How about this? They're passionate 49er fans that know that the team's in a bad place and they want to make significant change and they want to see it turned around fast. I think that would sum up, as he says, the coneheads who want Kyle fired. It's not that they, I think, want Kyle fired. I think that they know that something significant needs to happen to change. They don't know what it is. And so it goes with the quarterback's got to sit. The head coach has got to go.
Okay, so Kyle gets fired tomorrow. Who are you replacing him with? Because there's only
beyond that, I think I don't even want to address that because to me, I don't think that we're there yet, and I don't think that we should be there yet.
No,
but I do agree that I hear what they're saying. I'm blocking out the words, and I'm just trying to hear the emotion of it. And the emotion of it is they're hardcore Niner fans. They know that the 49ers have way too many offensive weapons to be this crappy. They also know that the 49ers have way too much talent to be sub 500. I mean, let's be honest. The 49ers have a very, very talented roster. I think, and I used to do personnel, so I feel like I know a little something about personnel. I think their personnel is top 5, top 7 in the entire NFL.
Yes.
I think their personnel is that good. So they're sub 500 with a top 5 personnel. That's a problem. So we are at a point where you need dramatic ideas, and they do need to do something dramatic. But is it bench Jimmy? Is it fire Kyle? EPH47 says Kyle's an enigma. He goes from genius to head scratcher week to week. Okay, I feel that as well. What is the solution? Before we get to that, Ralph Macchio says, here's $9.99. There may be 2 quarterbacks that could have won that game with the defense playing that bad. One was on the other team. Jimmy G isn't a top 2 quarterback. Trey isn't either. Jimmy G played fine yesterday, minus the interception. The defense and the special teams are the real concern.
I agree.
I think Ralph is onto something. But I think there's also something to be said for let's think backwards, okay?
Hey, what's the Karate Kid's name? I thought his name was...
that is right. I think he is. That's
it. Yeah. Well, let's think backwards. Let's think as a defensive coordinator trying to stop the 49er offense. What could they do offensively to put pressure on opposing defenses? Because that's really what we're talking about.
Did you guys see Acho the other day? What he put out on Twitter?
Yeah.
You should play that because
what is he saying?
That's what the Niners will be doing. It's just going to take some time. They got to incorporate CMT. Do you have it, Ryan?
Oh, you saw it, Larry. It was like him just breaking down the personnel and how they're so multiple. And it's like,
but I mean, as far as an overarching change to what they're doing, what could they do to put more pressure on defenses? This is what I see. This is what I see. Mm-hmm. I would first of all, what are the Niners? They've got a bunch of guys. Every single one of them now are veteran players. Jimmy, McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. Outside of McCaffrey, all these guys have been in the offense for years. Kyle has been here for years. The linemen have all been here for the most part for years. Even Brendel was on the team last year, so he's been in the offense for years. So what I would do is I would use 2 things. I would spread it out. You got right now, you have weapons. Get them on the field, spread them out, empty the backfield, play fast. Go hurry up, spread it out with the empty set, and let Jimmy throw the ball short, because that's what Jimmy does. But play with tempo. Play with tempo. Go 4 wides, take McCaffrey, put him outside. Now you could have Kittle flexed, Debo, Ayuk, maybe Danny Gray if you want to incorporate a deep element, and McCaffrey. Everybody's spread out wide, and you're playing with tempo. To me, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. It gives them a totally different look than what you've done thus far. It also, it makes the defense spread out. So now if you do want to run, you can run out of the spread formation on the end arounds and have running backs, one of the backs crossing over, and you can run up the middle because there'll be more room because you're spread out the defense. I would say go hurry up, spread it out, 4 and 5 wides, throw the ball a lot, mix in a couple runs, play with some tempo, and put a ton more pressure on the defense, and let them take a proactive approach and make them match up with you and make them match up with your weapons. And let's see if a defense can cover Ayuk and Debo and McCaffrey and Kittle and whatever other weapon you want to add to that mix. From when you're playing fast and everybody's spread out in an empty set. And then we'll see if they can get pressure in that situation on the quarterback. And then you're getting into what Jimmy does well, which is pass it short. And get it out of his hand quickly. You're negating other teams' pass rush. You're not making Jimmy kind of float it to an area. You're going to basically find out who's got one-on-ones, and you're spreading them out. You're playing with pace. To me, that's the change I would make. I would make that, and then try to because you can either pound the run and go big people, but I don't think the team at this point in the schedule, I don't know that they can have another head knocker run through you, 18 runs. We're just going to power it through you without suffering all kinds of injuries. So spread them out. You have weapons that other teams don't have. You have some of the NFL's best weapons. Spread them out in open space, get the ball in their hand, and let's see what they can do. And then go hurry up. And then when you go hurry up and you start to become proficient at it, then if you get to the second half of a game and you're losing and you have to play hurry up, you have reps and comfort and receivers and linemen and a quarterback that's all used to playing hurry up.
Well, I will say this, Larry. I think guys that
then at least you're set. If you get ahead, then you can go to the power run game and take the air out of the ball and slow it down. But I looked at the tempo, and you know what the Chiefs do? They play. They're one of the fastest teams in the league as far as pace per play in the first half of games, and they're one of the slowest teams in the NFL in tempo in the second half of games. And if I'm the Niners, that's what I'm doing. I'm speeding up my tempo. I'm getting my guys out in space. I'm playing super fast. And then if I can get a lead,
they got the guys that love to do that too. Playmakers.
If I can get a lead, then I'll play slow it down in the second half and run
that's
it.
when you see, more less McCaffrey, more Wilson and TDP in the backfield. When you got a lead, then you pound the ball. Yeah. So They've got to jump out. The Niners have yet to really do that. I mean, they did it against Seattle somewhat, and then against Carolina.
And they kind of did it versus the Chiefs, 10-0.
Yeah, they were up 10-0. Yeah, they had the turnover there. Yeah, and then they put it in. Yeah, so they're up 10-0. So, I think that you're going to see an offense that's going to evolve week by week. It's going to get better and better. Kyle is actually having to constantly now change everything that he planned in the offseason for Jimmy. Now that he's got McCaffrey, he's going to change it up all over again. He's going to have to come up with different packages, and they'll work on that, and it will get better. But
I would have no problem playing that way with Jimmy, and I would have no problem playing that way with Purdy. Because I think Purdy's strengths also are the same. He's got very, very, he doesn't have the big arm, though I think he can make all the throws, but he doesn't have a big arm. But what he does is he's got great footwork and great precision in the short and intermediate, and he's very smart. And if you spread teams out and give him options, I think you can get into a rhythm. I think you can get into a rhythm that really starts to bother teams. And once you're playing, I think to me, I see two things. On offense, they lack rhythm. On defense, they lack bodies. And so what do? You got to play a little bit more ball control because you lack those bodies on defense. But you also have to establish a rhythm on offense. And that's a problem. I mean, we're in the middle of the year. They don't have any offensive rhythm.
Yeah, I actually agree with Lewis. I can't find his comment, but he said back to basics, no penalties, or eliminate penalties, eliminate turnovers. My thought is like, okay, the offense can change drastically during the bye week. They just got to get there. And luckily the Rams are so one-dimensional that the defense shouldn't have a problem in terms of, I know they may not have Armstead and those guys inside, but the Rams haven't been able to run the ball. They're pretty one-dimensional. The defense should be able to hold up pretty well, get pressure on Stafford. I think that the biggest thing is just, however, Kyle knows this team. How can we eliminate turnovers? How can we make sure that there's not as many negative plays? How can we eliminate penalties? How can we just kind of control? I kind of almost want like the Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones game plan. Like, let's just not give this game away. Because I think if we keep pressing on this Rams team, I think they're soft. I think they'll fold. It's just the turnovers, the penalties, all this stuff is just it's a killer. They've 7 turnovers in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, that right there. Remember, I mean, if that's the only factor that we discussed, that would be that's a major one right there. That's a ton of turnovers, and also defensively, this was an offense. The Niner offense was coming together, was struggling, and there's no rhythm. And then they've given up 72 points in the last 2 games combined.
Yeah.
So now the offense is feels the pressure of having to carry the weight because the defense is now can no longer, rule the day. And now the offense seems like they're coming unglued. But they got to eliminate the mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers. I mean, let's be honest. They lost in Denver, -3 in turnovers. They lost in Atlanta, -3 in turnovers. They lost yesterday. They committed 3 turnovers, were -1. They lost, and they also had 10 penalties. They lost the Bears game because they had a ton of penalties. Eliminate the turnovers and penalties, and you'll be in these games. And against the better teams, you'll hang with them. And against the bad teams, you'll beat them. I don't think they were going to beat Kansas City yesterday, but they would have hung around if they didn't have all those turnovers and penalties.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like Kansas City had control of the game until after they did respond with that long drive when they were down 14. And then all of a sudden they got their first sack on Mahomes. It's 3rd and 11. They're on their own 19. We have a chance to get the ball back after just kind of grabbing back a little momentum. And then just they pulled the hearts out with the 50-yarder. And after that, it felt like it was just too much.
Ralph Macchio says, here's $9.99. The defense looked like they hadn't seen a good quarterback before, but looked like the best D of all time against Trey all off season. Should tell you all you need to know about where Trey was in comparison to real top quarterbacks. You know what? It's hard to evaluate practice. I'll say that. And then Ralph says, here's $4.99. We don't have a top quarterback and aren't getting one anytime soon. Have to win with a mediocre quarterback or it ain't happening. I mean, that's the other thing that's really frustrating. I mean, you look at the Niners, they're 6 years in. The head coach has got a sub 500 record. They don't know if they have their quarterback of the future on the roster, and they don't have a lot of draft picks as far as number ones, so it's like they've traded some of their draft capital. They still don't know if they have the quarterback of the future. And, so it's like, I can see where people are skeptical of where they're at right now. I'm not as skeptical as far as Shanahan, but I definitely see that they need to get into a rhythm, and they're not in a rhythm right now. I mean, they really aren't in any kind of rhythm, and they gotta find a few bodies on defense or get the bodies they have healthier. And then on offense, they got to do something. And I would say use tempo and spreading it out. Other people would say run it some more, but they got to do something to establish a rhythm offensively. Because right now they're out of rhythm offensively. And they're less than the sum of their parts on offense, and the defense is being chipped away by losing pieces. They're a little bit of a bully defense that can't bully teams right now or overwhelm them with speed. And against the best offenses like we saw yesterday, they're getting exposed.
And I think that this can be a positive for them going forward. Everybody's right when they say this is the first truly great team they've played this year. And it's not even that. Like they're truly a step up from, they're tiers ahead of who they've played. And so, this was kind of a wake-up call. They have to make changes. They have to be a little bit more creative. So, I mean, going forward, it's sort of like the Eagles. Like, I think if the Eagles are basically playing Gonzaga's schedule this year, it's like there's a chance they get to the playoffs and then they could get punched in the mouth and not know what to do. At least the Niners got punched in the mouth early, and that's
it's all like you say, right? Exactly. It's all timing, and you want to hit your stride. I know a lot of people say that, I'm looking at this, I'm 6 years, I'm a homer or whatever. I just look at things realistically. I can remember the 1991 season. Niners lost Montana and Steve Young. They were 4-6, and Steve Bono was the quarterback. Niners won 6 straight, finished 10-6, didn't make the playoffs that year, but their offense with Bono, the last 5-6 games, they were averaging over 30 points a game. They were, and that led to 92, 93 NFC Championship, lose to Dallas. Then 94, they kicked the door in. That was their last title, 94. So what I'm saying is, right now the NFC's down. Niners are not playing anywhere near their potential, but thank goodness they're in a division that's weak, and they're 2-0 in division games. They've got the Rams this week. Last week, when they got McCaffrey, we were on this show and we said they got to win one of the two. Well, to be honest with you, the more important one is this week. You want to win your division game. Now you've got McCaffrey for a full week of practice. I think they look better. Yes, the Rams are coming off of a bye, and they'll probably be more rested, and McVay will be more prepared. But this is a must-win for the Niners. And I believe somehow they'll figure it out. And if they're 4-4 and 2-0 against the Rams, all they got to do is
1-0 against the Seahawks.
1-0 against the Seahawks, yeah. Is you win those division games, you start peaking, Niners win 9-10 games this year and win all of their division games. Going to be tough. I'm not saying it's a lay down to win all your division games, but they're much better than their division opponents. I mean, they're clearly better than the Seahawks, and I believe the Rams are down this year. Rams offensive line, you want to talk about decimated. They are a mess. And Niners could be.
Here's the question. What gets them going offensively? Mitchell and Ness says the formula for winning with this team is relying on the defense, run more than pass. Without the defense, the Niners will lose a lot of games. The D has been propping up this offense the whole time Kyle has been here. I would disagree, Mitchell. I would say the key is not run more than pass. The key is possess the ball. It's not about do they run or do they pass. It's about making sure you possess the football to keep your defense on the sideline and win that time of possession. That's one area now where the 49ers have not necessarily been able to get their equation. I don't think it's important how they possess the ball, just that they possess the ball. If they do it with a short passing game, that's fine too. If they do it with 18 runs and a 21 play drive, that's fine too. I don't think it has to be the run, but they have to dominate the time of possession and play complementary football. Your defense carried you in the first month when your offense had nothing. Now you need to carry this defense until your guys can get healthy, and you need to win some games where your defense is not totally dominant. So how do you do it? Possess the ball. Now, as far as how to do that, is that by short passing and spreading everybody out? Is that by running the ball, running it better and running it more effectively? I mean, I think we're going to find out. The Niners have had a lot of success running it against the Rams. Then the last game, I think it wasn't the last game a few weeks ago. Wasn't that more of a pass-happy game plan?
Right.
Maybe that, I don't know which we're going to see this week, but I think it is really imperative that the Niners win the time of possession against the Rams by, 5 minutes or more. I mean, they got to win the time of possession decisively in this game. And I'll lean on the offensive staff to see what they think is the best plan. I think now that you have McCaffrey and he's so versatile and there's so many options and wrinkles that you can do in this offense, I would say spread everybody out and, throw it all over the yard. And let's see if you can, get Jimmy in a rhythm, get this offense in a rhythm, because offensive rhythm is when you see a team that's in offensive rhythm, they hit the ground running. They're hard to stop. This offense right now is not hard to stop. They're stopping themselves. They make a big play up, Brendel holding up. They make another big play up, Burford false start. Oh, they make another big play up, another penalty, illegal motion. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You got to somehow get into a rhythm offensively. Let's see. We got a couple more here down in the bottom of the chat. Walsh was the genius who never left the house and continued his offensive ways. Kyle lost his coaches and is getting worse. Not much of an offensive mind. We've got somebody else in here that said something I thought was kind of interesting that I wanted to get your thoughts on.
Pretty good that he lost his coaches, though. The minority coaches that result in 2 third-round picks each. Pretty good.
Shante Ortega says Shanny's losing the team. You know what? If I saw evidence of that, I would agree with you, Shante. I don't necessarily see any evidence of that. I don't see evidence of that on the field. I didn't see evidence of that when I talked to any of the players. So I will endorse that Shanny is losing the team when I see evidence that supports it. And I'm not seeing, and I don't know, do you guys see evidence that supports Shanny losing the team? I don't see mutiny. I don't see people talking out of the side of their mouth. I don't see comments that could be construed as negative. I don't see fracturing. I don't see guys pointing the finger. I don't see guys going 3/4 speed. I just don't see the examples of him losing the team.
This is the correct statement. Shanny is losing the fans. He's not losing the team. He's losing the fans.
Yeah. No, I agree. The fans are now, they've seen the quarterback position juggled. They've seen a major trade happen, and people don't get too deep on this stuff. It's like, it's the quarterback or the head coach, right? They blame the quarterback or they blame the head coach. Ralph Macchio is deciding that he's spending his entire paycheck here on the Krueg show today. He says, here's $9.99. 3rd and 3. When Jimmy G threw the interception, why are you taking McCaffrey out and throwing it? Also, a lot of time left for Mahomes if you do score. Run the ball twice there. I believe in Kyle Shanahan, but a lot of head-scratching calls. I think that's fair. That's fair. I didn't love the runs that I felt like they ran McCaffrey, at least 3 or 4 times, between the tackles in where there was no room. I mean, it's time to kind of come to grips with the reality that the Niner offensive line is not getting a lot of push on the runs between the tackles. And they're not getting a lot of push, and the holes that they're creating are not that big.
That 3rd and 3 where he did throw the interception, a nice call would have been to see if, McCaffrey in there and Debo with some motion, throw the defense off, maybe even one of those, but McCaffrey probably not enough time to get that in the playbook for him, but a little, that shovel pass that Mahomes has made so famous, just to do something to kind of throw them off a little bit. I would have liked to seen them at 3rd and 3 do a couple of runs and get the first down. That was 4 down territory.
How about somebody said, Andrew here says Kittle made some comments. Did Kittle make comments?
Well, just about getting the ball to the playmakers,
yeah.
I think. But, that's true. It's not
true.
It's funny that you said that, Andrew, because Kittle, after the Falcon game, made some comments that he didn't like the effort of some of the players on the team. Then Matt Barrows asked him about it with Ryan and I standing about literally like 3 feet away, and he walked that back. Basically said, no, I watched the film and I didn't see that.
It's emotional.
Well, either or he realizes that he spoke out of turn, or he knows it's not productive to say that. I'm not sure exactly what, but he definitely did. He was given an opportunity to double down on his comments, and instead he walked him back.
Yep. How about a little Baldy to cheer us all up?
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Play selection here. This is Christian McCaffrey's first carry as a 49er. He learned pretty quickly, just follow Juice. If Juice is on the field and he's blocking, just follow him. Like right here, he's going to start left, but he's coming back on a wind back. Just follow him. You follow Juice. Juice gets the block on the outside. You're going to be dancing for 10 yards. 10 yards, first carry, not bad. Now they put Juice and McCaffrey on the field together. Again, just follow Juice. Good return on investment on this opening drive of the game. As they waits on him right here, and he gets right through the soup, spins onto the free safety. Then is this throw right here. This is a touchdown throw. They're going to go to the two-man side to Kittle and McCaffrey. And that's where Jimmy G wants to go. Doesn't like it. He's got time. Makes a play outside the pocket here to Ray McLeod. Great catch. 49ers up 10-0. All right. Pretty good early returns right here. And then they go hurry up right here. Try to get Kansas City off guard. They put McCaffrey out wide. You can teach this play in a day. Probably learned it on the plane ride coming to San Francisco. Little hit screen, picks up some blockers. What we've seen him do since he left Stanford. 13 yards. Then you get this. Next play. All right, just follow Juice. Right, here he comes. Just follow him. Like the ball always goes behind him. Like 99% of the time. You make guy miss. All right, looks like McCaffrey. And then, wasn't so good. Wasn't so good right here. He doesn't follow Juice. Watch Juice. Here he comes. Just follow him. Like he'll learn. You want to go inside there. If you stay outside, a lot more yards a game, okay? Then you get this happening right here where you just get second half. He started the game, got the play up. He started the second half behind Juice. By that point, Chiefs defense was taking over. One more here. They get a blitz. Kansas City blitzes a lot. They did here. They got a free hitter coming at Jimmy G. Just get it out to the flat because he's going to make people miss. It wasn't a great game for the offense. Chiefs just manhandled their defense. But McCaffrey, let him learn the playbook. We'll see.
Solid.
The positives in the beginning, but again, it's like he's got to learn. But
take him probably. He's a smart guy. He'll learn more and more of the playbook. But my guess is he probably gets the majority of the playbook down in a few weeks. He gets enough knowledge to do quite a bit next week, even more after the bye. And probably sometime after the bye, another game or two, be peaking over the last 6-7 games, and he knows the offense.
Personally, though, to me, that was a lot of McCaffrey between the tackles. I want to see McCaffrey in space. I want to see McCaffrey in a pass route against a safety or a linebacker.
Yeah, I think you'll see more of that.
I want to see McCaffrey in open spaces. I don't want to see McCaffrey, heading it up and getting hit by the linebacker, the D tackle, and getting, up the gut. You got Jeff Wilson. Run him there. I want to see McCaffrey in open spaces.
Actually, he averaged like 7 or 8 yards a carry yesterday.
Yeah, but I want to see more. I don't want to see McCaffrey between the. That's not his strength. His strength is not in between the tackles. His strength is outside the tackle box. His strength is as a receiver. His strength is in open spaces. I've seen him. I saw his entire college career. He's a home run hitter. Get him in space. Get him isolated against other guys who aren't as athletic, and let's see what he looks like. Don't run him as a juice lead blocker. He's not Emmitt Smith. It's not Daryl Johnston and Emmitt Smith. Stop running this guy in between the tackles. Get him in space. If you want him to, you just traded 4 picks for this guy. Do you want him to last? If you do, run them and get them in space. If you don't want them to last, just keep running them between the tackles. That's what Jeff Wilson's for. That's what Jordan Mason's for, if they ever wanted to hand it to him. Let your big backs run between the tackles. Get your weapons in space, and throw it to them.
Yeah. And I think you'll see more of that this week. And now that he has a full week to be in meetings, learn the playbook, study it at night, get the language down. I mean, I'm surprised he actually played as much as he did Sunday. And with as far as, I expected him to be more of a decoy. I'm surprised that he was involved.
He got 10 touches. I was hoping for more like 15, but I just wanted him fewer in between the tackles and more in space.
Yeah. I just think that with 1 day and a half of time here, give him this week. I think you'll see, like I say, each week you'll see more and more of what Kyle can do. This is Kyle's chance, even though, he's somewhat limited with the quarterback situation. I mean, Jimmy's Jimmy. He's going to be able to do what keep Jimmy doing what he's best at, which is quick decision making, But I also think Jimmy does really well when he's alone in the backfield. When it's just everybody spread out and Jimmy has a chance to just look the defense over and then kind of make a quick decision, quick throws. But I'm expecting to see Kyle dial things up much more creatively than he has over the last. Really this year. I mean, this year has been a funk in many ways of the way the play calling's gone. And I do.
Does he need an O coordinator? He's acting as his own OC, right?
He is. I attribute a lot of it just to the change of, he went from years with Jimmy to putting in a whole different type of offense ready. I mean, using the base of what the offense was, but
Jimmy's been here for years.
Right,
Jimmy should know the offense. Kyle should know what Jimmy's good at. Everybody should know everybody at this point. I mean,
right. I agree, but I'm saying that they did the stuff for Trey, and the whole offense geared up around doing things for Trey, to having Danny Gray and McLeod in for deep passes, and the running game was. So now you've got a whole different. You're kind of back to the way it was before. And so some of the guys that are in there, I mean, you look at Burford and you look at the left tackle, Banks and all those guys, those guys were all kind of gearing up, learning different schematics for Trey. Now they're going back to Jimmy, and everybody, they look out of sync to me.
It's funny though, Danny, because we've asked these questions to these players, and they say there's no difference. Yeah, there's a couple different plays here and there, but that the offense is the offense, and that there's no real difference for them.
I think Greg brings up a great point. My question is, has Kyle lost his touch and is just burnt out? My answer to that would be, and again, I try not to be just excuses for Kyle guy, but I think there's a lot of truth to the fact that all of these coaches that are getting hired across the league now, it's a copycat league, are all stemming from the Shanahan system. So that defenses are having this is no longer a curveball that people have to face. Like in 2019, this was kind of a curveball offense compared to everything else. Now everybody's sort of running this type of stuff, and people are practicing against defenses are practicing against that offense. I think that attributes a little bit to it, and I think that's part of the reason why he wanted a running quarterback, so that he could have an offense that nobody else can do.
Well, I just think I mean look at the best quarterbacks in the game, and you're looking right at Mahomes and you're looking right at Josh Allen. Well, there has to be some mobility to that player. The athletes on defense are just so great right now that you have to have some mobility. So I think the future of the quarterback position is the totally immobile need not apply in the years ahead. Now we'll see. You still got to make plays from the pocket, but you also have to have that mobility. Mahomes can do both. Josh Allen can do both. Garoppolo doesn't have that mobility. No. They were looking for Trey Lance because Trey Lance does have the mobility. So they were looking for a quarterback that would add that dimension, but you still got to be able to make plays from the pocket. But yeah, you have to have that mobility.
When we look at this though, let's look at this let's say Trey was never got hurt and he was still in there. We kind of looked at the Niners as, even though their schedule was somewhat easy, we talked a lot about being 4-4 at the break, just because we thought Trey was going to struggle. And the fact is that, they should probably be more like 5-2 with their schedule, but they have really looked out of sync to me offensively, except for the game against Carolina. They haven't looked very good. So this is kind of, a lot of it has to do with just changes that they've had to make, injuries. But the fact is, they are not playing anywhere near their capabilities. And so I do believe, as I said, week 2, they're not going to get in sync until after the bye. And I still believe that. I still think the second half, they're going to be a team that is going to be scary.
They're just a team that if they get into obvious passing situations, Garoppolo really struggles. They have to stay ahead of the sticks.
Yeah, they got to get rhythm.
They're making too many mistakes.
Right.
So every drive, we could go through the entire game. Almost every drive, they fell behind the chains, and Garoppolo had to make a big play. And then after that, it's like, they
made some really good throws yesterday over the middle, and then he had a couple of big drops. Again, we talked about drops. I don't think any quarterback – I don't think the way they played yesterday defensively, I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers would have been able to beat the Chiefs yesterday.
Josh Allen or Patty Mahomes are probably –
It's not about winning the game. It's about not losing by 3 touchdowns.
Right. I think they probably would have lost if they had Rodgers. They probably would have scored 30, 35 points and still
the coverage was soft all day. They had no adjustment. They had no answer. They didn't punt. KC didn't punt until when?
They never punted.
I don't think
they never punted.
Yeah,
they never punted.
The defense was
the game when they took
defense was absolutely atrocious. But again, and I know
they got breaks. The Niners got breaks. Butker missed a gimme field goal. Mahomes had a turnover. It wasn't like they got no breaks. They got a few breaks, but Mahomes has got a sports car, and Reed and Mahomes and their weapons, everybody's dialed in, and they look great. The other thing is Kansas City went the entire game. They had no injuries.
Yeah,
not one injury.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, Andy Reid's like, yeah, we're good. We're good. We could go again if we need to. It's like where the 49ers are licking their wounds. So
yeah, you even heard after
they need to freshen up their D, and they need to find some more bodies on D, and they need to get a more complementary game plan going offensively to keep their defense off the field. They need to help their defense and then protect their defense. And everything's can't be about explosives. At this point, it's got to be about possession. They have to possess the ball a ton. And that's the other thing I didn't like in this game is that, you have an offense that has the best play caller and the number 1 quarterback and some really good weapons, and they're fired up. You knew that Kansas City was going to come out with a strong performance. Where was the ball control? Where was the 49ers look like they're impatient offensively. Show some patience offensively. Possess the ball. Make the Chiefs defense log significant minutes on the field. Start winning the game the way that Arthur Smith won the game against you, the week prior, where he won the game really by keeping your defense out there and making them defend 3-yard gains, 4-yard gains, not making mistakes, getting into 2nd and short, 3rd and short. And then instead of taking shots down the field, they just went for the first down, high percentage first down.
What's hurting their defense right now?
The Niners did possess the first, like, whatever, 3.5 quarters, they kind of were dominating time of possession, which made it almost like it was like, are you kidding me, defense? Like,
well, their defense had no answer. I mean, they gave up tons of explosive plays. How many times was the 49er? How many hands did the 49ers get defensively on the football the entire day?
Yeah.
I was watching it on the binoculars. Every single time Mahomes dropped back, he had multiple guys open, and he hit them, and there was never any play on the football.
Yeah,
it wasn't like anybody get there early. I mean, seriously, if you're going to be late, get there early. Maybe you draw a penalty, maybe you don't. But if you get there late, it's just pitch and catch.
No, I think they're missing more. I think they're missing Eric Armstead more than they realize, because he's kind of the anchor to that defensive line. Because I'll tell you, without him in next to Bosa was actually probably played one of his poorest games as a Niner. He took wrong routes. He took inside cuts.
Well, you know why, Danny? You know why? Because he's trying to shut down the run lanes in addition to rush the passer. He doesn't want to just rush the passer. See, if you take the outside lane and then in the wide 9, you're giving Mahomes the avenue to run.
Exactly.
So he was taking the inside lane to try to force Mahomes to hold it and not run. And Mahomes didn't have the back-breaking run in this game. Right. But what he did have was just wide open guys down the field. So the coverage has got to get tighter. And the only way it gets tighter is if, A, you can put a little pressure, and B, if you can possess the ball on offense and have a more rested defense, because that's really it. You can pressure the quarterback, move him off his spot, or you can somehow, get your defense playing a million miles an hour because they're so rested because your offense is dominating time of possession. They didn't do either.
What's the word on Kinlaw? I know he's on IR. Are they expecting him coming back, or do they think he's out for the year?
I heard Dennis Brown say that he could be out for the year. I haven't heard anybody officially state that, but that's what I heard Dennis Brown saying.
I'm in agreement with Jordan about getting Sue, because they need some real beef in the middle of that defensive line.
Where's the beef?
Yeah, they've got. With Kinlaw and Armstead out, Armstead sounds like plantar fasciitis. That could be aggravated week to week. You don't know if you're going to have it or not. That's something that is going to have to be addressed, because that defensive line needs an anchor. DJ Jones was the anchor last year. They don't have that right now.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that bothered me in this game, and I saw it 3 or 4 times, is that the chief ball carrier, once it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a couple times it was Pacheco. The Niner linebacker got to the chief running back, let's say stopped him after 3 yards, but then the chief running back pushed forward for another 2.5 yards. Yeah. So it was like there were a couple gains where I'm like, 3-yard run. And then I looked down, it was a 6-yard run.
2 weeks in a row, they've been just dominated on in the trenches.
Their linebackers are no longer hitting guys and going back and making them go backward. They're absorbing those hits from the running backs, and they're holding on for dear life as the running back is dragging them 2 and 3 yards. Warner, it's happening to Greenlaw, it's happening to Hufanga, it's happening to Gibson. They're not starching the running back and having the running back go back. They're corralling the running back and trying to hold on till they get some help. And you can see it. It's like the Niner defense looks really fatigued. As a team, the 49ers look really fatigued.
Is built on speed and
Dan, I got to say, being at the game and watching the game, that there was a difference between the speed of the Kansas City defense and the speed of the 49ers defense. And I thought that the 49ers defense was the fastest in the league, and it wasn't even close. This game, it looked like they were hesitating on everything. There was no gang tackling.
Well, they are. I'll tell you, with Greenlaw, with him out, he had something on his leg. They showed him on TV. They were trying to.
He's nursing like 5 different injuries.
He's got a big thing on his arm. There's some brace or something.
Brace.
So the fact is, he's hurting. And the Niners defense.
They need Aziz back bad.
Yeah,
Someone says, "Where's Aziz?" They need Aziz.
Fast. They're linebackers, but they're not super big linebackers. That's why they're so fast. That's why you need the beef up front, because they're going to get pushed back in the run if they don't have anybody to stop the run, because they're linebackers. You just get that push in the middle, and they're just going to get pushed.
Givens is more of a pass rusher. They're missing. They missed DJ, but now they miss Kinlaw and Armstead.
Right. They got what?
They had all three of those guys last year, and they don't have any of those guys right now.
Why don't you say we hit a commercial? Because we're coming up on 3 hours. We should probably hit the commercial.
Yeah. Also, Kyle talks bottom of the hour. I want to see. I want to hear that. And I think is Kyle at 3:30 or was Kyle at 3?
I think he's at 3.
Oh, maybe he's talking right now. Yeah. Shante says, Larry, we're missing DJ. Oh, they absolutely are. All right, let's do this. Let's have a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more on the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show, almost 3 hours into the live stream. Join me on Grant's channel at 4 o'clock. I'll go live with him. We'll hit the chat here one last time.
You're lazy.
You're lazy, Larry. Yeah, all you do is sleep. Let's see. Jason says sign Sue. AI4IT says we need Sue's nastiness. Signed Sue. Dusty Gold says, I'll check you out. Larry with Grant at 4. There you go. Shante Ortega says, sign Sue ASAP. We need a bully, if anything. Luis says, sign Payne, Deron Payne from Washington. I think that would probably be a trade. They could definitely use more help inside. There's no doubt about it. The Kinlaw pick at this point is just what a crusher. And then the Armstead injury and the Kinlaw pick. They had Buckner. They went with Armstead. They traded for Kinlaw. Now Kinlaw's out. Armstead's out. It's they're in a real rough spot right now. Kelch Chronicles highlight of the week: Pasquale. Life is good. Kyle is like church without God. What else? What else? Andrew Martinez says Grant's calling out Kyle all the time. Sean says now he's talking about Grant. Let's chill on Grant. Roland Dam, Conan Kruger, the best 49er show out there. Okay, well, great. Coming up at 4 o'clock. Glad you feel that way. Here we go. Shanti Ortega. Maybe Kyle needs to express it with his hands.
Hey, speaking of fantasy football, I changed my team name thinking I might have a little bit different, changed my luck because my team stinks. Got DK Metcalf. Now he's out.
You have a DK Metcalf injury?
Yeah, he had a Metcalf injury. Yeah, so now I went from tech savvy.
Oh my God! I lost again in oh my God!
Right. You lost.
I think I lost.
Yeah, we're still, and I have very little chance tonight. But I have a just hanging by a thread. I need David Montgomery to get like 3 touchdowns because that's the only chance I have to beat Sean's team. But my new name for my team is Pasquale's Monster Sausages.
What's killing me, my fantasy team this year is Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Brady.
If I lose tonight,
Tom Brady needs to retire.
Look out. Tonight, you guys all want change with the Niners, man. I may just blow up the whole dang fantasy football team. Everybody might be for sale. CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor.
Really?
Everybody's gone. I just shaking it up.
You going to Papirski?
Yeah, I'm going to Papirski. I'm going to put Dubon in the World Series.
You going to Stewie Fairchild?
Yeah, I put Dubon in the World Series by giving Dubon to the Astros for Papirski.
Did you chase Littell down into the tunnel? I mean, you really blowing this thing up?
Oh, yeah.
GTC Reels. Larry, is his voice really like that?
I'd like to hear Pasquale. I'd like to hear Pasquale do a Baldy breakdown.
I'm being hit by flies right now. For some reason, I'm getting attacked by flies. I'm not sure why. Let me see. What else do we have here?
I'm not going tonight. It's over in Scottsdale. I think I'm not going to go.
What's that?
Arizona Fall League. Graves asked if I was going to the game tonight. I think he meant the unless he's talking about the Suns Warriors.
Dan, you going to the ball game tonight? You going to the ball game?
Is he talking about the Arizona Fall League? I think the Warriors are in Phoenix tomorrow night, aren't they?
What do you think about this one? I totally agree. Kyle is aging in presidential years. Kyle
he definitely is. This job ages you.
Ugh. I mean, he said he was like up all night doing red zone stuff, and then he had to switch to McCaffrey. And
what do you guys think we're going to see tonight on the Monday Nighter?
Hopefully a Patriots blowout, so I win Dan's cousin's Survivor League.
Oh, my nephews, yeah,
or your nephews.
Val Ramos says Danny's having a fire sale. I like the way the Patriots are running the ball. My God, Ramondre Stevenson looks great. I mean, how about that? They're winning games with Bailey Zappi, and what are they doing? They're running the ball, and they're tough at the line of scrimmage. I mean, that right there is
they're in Glendale. Oh.
I'd like to see that. It would be nice if the 49ers could start to run the ball a little bit like New England's running the ball right now. That would be nice.
Oh, yeah. Scorpions are in Glendale.
Look at that hole. Look at that hole. You don't say. You don't say. You don't say.
Queuing it up.
Patriots defense is the bomb. All right. I got Patriots. All they got to do, I got Patriots tonight on the tees. So all they got to do is win by 1.
I hope the Patriots win for Ryan's sake, so he wins the Survivor League. But I sure hope that I need like 3 touchdowns from David Montgomery, and I need what's his name, Stevenson. Sean's got Stevenson. I need him to go down with just like little minor tweak to an ankle or something. The first.
Here we go. Here's a man who's making sense. Chiguayo 56, $2. He says, just ran into a superior team with a great coach and a great quarterback.
Yeah. You ran into a buzzsaw. You ran into Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, and you got blown out. I mean, that's like I say, it's a lot of its timing. Had they faced the Niners when the Niners defense was totally 100% healthy, and they were able to play man. Imagine Mosley and Mooney Ward playing man-to-man on their receivers and the blitz on being able to actually then blitz. Mahomes would have had to get rid of it quick. Would have been a different outcome. But,
hey, I'll leave you with this one. My last comment of the live stream. It kind of reminded me when I walked into the Giants clubhouse after Sir Sidney Ponson had gotten lit up in the playoffs.
And
they opened up the clubhouse. I was the only one in there. And Sidney Ponson, this is after a playoff game. And Sidney Ponson is starting to hold court. And I'm looking around. I'm the only guy standing there. And then this is after a Giants playoff loss.
Playoffs?
Yeah. And so I go, Sydney, you know what? I don't know where everybody else is, but I guess we're getting this rolling right now because Jim Moorhead says we're getting it rolling. And so I'm like, all right, what'd you think? And I just put the mic in front of his face, and he just looked at me and he's like, man, my ass just got lit up. I got nothing to say. Krueg. My ass just got lit up. And that was well said. And I would
sometimes that happens.
I would say that's what that's what I would have said if I was in the Niner locker room and I was coming off. Hey, not a lot to say. Sometimes your ass gets lit up. Oh
God, Debo injured his hamstring. He's day to day.
Oh, really?
Juszczyk had surgery today on his finger. Should be back after the bye.
Oh, he's out.
So Juice is out, and Debo is what?
Has a hammy out. It's day to day.
Yeah.
Good thing you got McCaffrey back there. So who can play?
So you have no Juice.
Is it going to be Dwelly, or are they going to go to a TDP in the backfield? Do you think is the lead?
How about Jordan Mason?
Jordan Mason, who's a good blocker though. I thought Mason. That's why he's not.
How about listen to me, and instead of going with a run heavy game plan, how about emptying the backfield, putting all your weapons out there, spreading it out, and throwing it all over the yard?
Who takes Debo's place, Jennings, or does Gray see some more time?
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be anybody really, but I mean, they all need to step up. They're all going to get their opportunities. There's going to be plenty of time for everybody. All right, guys, good stuff. When are we doing this again? When do Warriors go again?
Tomorrow night. They're playing down here in Phoenix.
Nice. We'll do a little live stream tomorrow night after, we'll do some live streams tomorrow with LA media people on the Rams, and we'll look ahead to the Ram game tomorrow during the daytime on the channel. But tomorrow night after the Warrior game, we'll be back with you, and maybe I'll, welcome back Bay Area Baller and Frank and Carl and the boys.
Steve said he'd probably come on too. Yeah.
Tell Steve we're getting the band back together tomorrow night, and Danny, call Cap, invite Cap, let him know that we're doing this and that he can come on, talk to the fans, because Cap wants him to join us, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably get some coconut oil ad going.
My ass just got lit up. My ass just got lit up. And on that note, one more, my ass just got lit up.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.